Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here, and it's Tuesday, and we're doing a reaction to the 1 point loss to the Chicago Bulls last night, which was unfortunate. But honestly, I'm not that mad at it. Honestly, the Raptors did something yesterday that they haven't really done this whole entire season. They came and they stunk the bed up in some ways that they normally don't with energy and coming correct. And I know that this 3 days off this weekend were a huge reason why the Raptors performed the way they did for most of the game last night. That, the team is with each other pretty much the whole time during the season. They've been together since June or July. And well, they separated this weekend. They went in all kinds of different directions because they had 3 days off. So Grady goes back to Oklahoma to Kansas. Scotty goes to Sunrise to watch the team to watch Florida State play. Different people went different places, and they were all kind of scattered and did own the things, and they kind of got disconnected in a physical sense because they weren't around each other for all of a sudden. And then they all come back. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like the game yesterday is on a Monday, and it's just like you came back from a long vacation, long weekend, and you're going back to work for the first thing in the morning, and it's just you're not wanting to be there. It's not that they didn't want to be there last night. It's just more that you're back at work, and you got to get back into the rhythm and the flow of the work week, and you're a little off when you first come back to work. I mean, this is normal for anybody on any job. You get a vacation, you come back from vacation, and you're a little relaxed, a little lackadaisical, a little kind of, oh, okay. Yeah, uh it was no occurrence that was weird that Jamal Shed was the best player yesterday for the Raptors, and he didn't get to play till late because he played on Sunday for the 905 against Maine Celtics and helped them win by 1 point on Sunday. So Shed was revved up. Shed was ready to go. And, I'm actually going to be critical of Darko for last night. I usually give Darko a pass, but I feel like he made some key personnel errors last night as far as why we ended up losing by 1 at the end of it. Yeah, there's a lot of things we could blame. We could blame the slow start and not really playing right for 40 minutes of the game. We could blame the missed free throws and a 1 point loss. We could blame, maybe a little bit of screwiness from the refs, but I don't really see that. I think the refs were pretty good overall. You could blame the injury to Jakob Poeltl going out and losing our big man. And this is where I would get mad at Darko. Is that, Jakob goes out. I'm sorry. Mobo's not a good enough replacement for him. And, he was in a tough spot because Kelly Olynyk was not playing well last night. He was looking really slow with the Bulls so quick up and down the court. And I want to say this, the Bulls are better this year than they were last year. And, I don't want to dump on DeMar. I know some of y'all were dumping on DeMar last night in the chat. But I don't think that that's fair. In some ways, the makeup of the Bulls team has changed dramatically since last year. And part of that is finally the return of Lonzo Ball. And then the other one is that, Josh Giddey's on this team now. And Josh Giddey's a player very much like Scott that can get, a lot of triple-double kind of stuff going on. He's a glue. He's a rebounder. He was a really good rebounder. And he's also a very, very good passer. So he's a factor now for them that they did not have last year. And the other thing that the Bulls did on the down low that we need to recognize, and this is part of the reason why they're doing way better this year, is they're bigger. They're a bigger team this year. You add Jalen Smith from Indiana, and then you got that Buzelis rookie off the bench. There's some length with Phillips. They're just a bigger team overall, and they looked like they had a lot more length and height, and especially – near the basket, they were hurting us as far as defense and not letting us get things clean around the basket. Some of it was fouls. And they didn't call fouls twice where Chris Boucher was dunking it and they pushed him. No respect for Chris. There was a couple times where Grady got pushed around right near the basket. He probably should have gotten a and one call too. But alas, I mean, that's similar to what happened in our game opener against the Cavs at the very beginning of the season, where they have very tall, stifling paint protectors that were absolutely making it hard for the Raptors to do anything of substance near the basket. And Vucevic, sure, he's been there for a while, but Yak and him cancel each other out. But after that, their height with Bazelis and Jalen Smith and even Patrick Williams to a degree, and they just had some good size in different ways. If they weren't real tall like Bazelis and Phillips, they were stocky like THT and Patrick Williams. So the other thing is we got to remember is Billy Donovan is a very good coach. And he's a tactician, and he understands what advantages he's got in different areas and where he can utilize them and get after it. Because, as soon as Yak was out, he started using Vucevic against us down low very effectively. I like Jonathan a lot, guys. I think Jonathan Bobo is a very, very bright future in the NBA, but he's being put in over his head. Last night he was put in over his head. Darko's been playing him at 4, and he admitted this in the interview after the game that he's been playing Jonathan at 4, and he asked him to play 5 last night, and it did not go well, guys. I'm sorry. He just doesn't have. It's not that it's experience partly, but it is also basic size that he's going to get pushed around by Vooch, and he can't hold him, and that's why if I'm going to criticize Darko. He did not handle the injury with Yak very well afterwards with his substitutions. In fact, his rotations were questionable in the first half when he brought in. I know it was great to see Chris out there again, and I think that Chris played very well. But in some ways, that was a shock to me. And then Garrett Temple was out there too. And I'm like, this is not the smartest thing. A lot of us were calling out in the Facebook chat for AJ Lawson. We wanted to see AJ make his Raptors debut last night. And also Jamal Shed, as somebody that I thought needed to get in there early. And I was right. I was thinking, why isn't he playing Shed? Well, he told us why after the game. He said straight up, he really had considered that Shed had played 40 minutes on Sunday against the Maine Celtics and traveled from Portland, Maine to Toronto, and that he wanted to limit his minutes partly because of the back-to-back factor for Shed. And it could very well be you could extrapolate that kind of theory into, well, that's why he didn't play AJ Lawson, is because AJ Lawson played 40 plus minutes on Sunday also. And he would be tired too. And maybe he didn't feel totally comfortable with him meshed with the rest of the team to put him out there. There's different stages of orientation to get you on a team when you're new. And he wanted to just let him come and sit in the Toronto arena, wear the Raptors stuff, and get that soaked in. And maybe, we'll see him against Brooklyn, against his old team, honestly, the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday instead. So, yeah, some of the personnel decisions by Darko I will question. I'm not totally happy with how he handled after Jakob's injury. And, there's some people that got minutes that I feel like in crunch time should have been out there. I don't think Jonathan should have been out there to close the game, guys. I think that he would have been better off playing Chris in that instance because of the experience factor. And in some ways, Chris is going to do just as well as Jonathan's going to do against Vucevic, honestly. Now, Kelly was proven to be very step slow last night, and he was very off. And that game last night didn't benefit Kelly Olynyk in any kind of way. In some ways, he was exposed for some of his biggest flaws as an NBA player in that game last night. The Bulls really like to run it up and down the court. And the other problem we were having last night was that Chicago was a step ahead of us in all kinds of aspects. Grady said after the game in his interview that it seemed like the Bulls were a step ahead on everything last night. And that was part of the reason why we lost. We were flat. We didn't come out and compete, and we didn't win on closeouts, and we didn't win on one-on-one kind of defense stuff is what Grady was saying. And that's all true. Now, I would have played Fernando last night. I think I would have put in Fernando just in case. Even if he was cold and he was coming in late, I think you needed that big body just to throw it up against Vucevic's big body to try and keep him out from right underneath the basket. That is probably what I would have done personally if I had the choice. I said, even though Bruno hadn't played at all, listen, it's like a bookends. Bruno came in and started the other day because Jakob was having back spasms. Well, Jakob got better, and he came in all of a sudden after 2 minutes, and Bruno didn't play for the rest of the game. Well, we should have had the inverse. Jakob goes back out. Well, Bruno needs to come back in, Darko. In some ways, I feel more comfortable with Bruno running up and down the court then Kelly Olynyk and that depth chart kind of fill in for Pirtle in this situation. We could have gotten into the whole idea of like go small with Lawson out there instead of Mobo and try to see if he could create and do some crazy stuff. And honestly, the AJ Lawson thing is a valid point that we could have seen AJ out there help the Raptors probably get over this. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. In some ways, the ethical tank, well, people like what we did last night because we played very competitively and we lost by 1 and we didn't get the W. So, hey, a lot of people are happy this morning that are Raptors fans because, we managed to do a lot of things right. Even if we didn't do most things right for most of the game, to only lose by 1. Yeah, that shot by Shed right at the end of the game was awesome. In some ways, he was kind of like, we're losing by 1, but it makes it look good. And the fact that he could make a shot like that, a bank shot right at the buzzer like that, is so awesome. I love that kind of stuff. And Shed was electric in the first quarter. He was in the fourth quarter, he was so good. He was so good. And I know Darko regretted not playing him in the early rotation. In some ways, the minutes that Garrett Temple got early maybe should have went to Jamal Shed. There's a couple of places where we could have saw him come in earlier, obviously. And in some ways, he might have infused that energy he infused in the fourth quarter earlier in the game to get us on a better path to try and win the game at the end. It is what it is. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We saw the Bulls. They're better than I thought they were. And, we had key injuries to both teams last night, too. That Giddey injury don't look good. And I'll tell you this, the Jakob injury is very similar to Pascal's injury. Yes, as Fiercey put in the chat last night, that the splits were very reminiscent of Siakam when he got hurt in Dallas a couple years ago because of the wet floor. Now, what the fuck was going on with that end of the floor? Why was there so much water on the floor over there near Santa and Nabbatia? What is it with Nabbatia in Chicago games and weird guests and chaos? What is it with that? I mean, I'm sure that the water had nothing to do with Santa and Nab, but they were right there in the middle of it. And I'm like, oh, ho, ho, ho. What are you doing, Santa? Keep your bow straight. Go to the bathroom or something. Did you bring the reindeer? And did they leave like a bunch of stuff on the court? Why was it so slick out there? That's annoying. Were the squeegee kids that run around and mop everything up not on their job last night? Were y'all dropping the ball so that our center has a pulled groin this morning? That's fucked up. Y'all didn't mean to doing that. Now, I will say this, guys. Jakob is going to be all right. In some ways, this is an injury that a lot of men already know about, a pulled groin. And in some ways, this is something where Jakob is going to get by this very, very well. In fact, he wrote something after the game. This is what he said in his recap of the game. 121 to 122 loss to the Bulls. Our offense started to click too late, and I had to leave the game with a groin injury. Yeah, I don't think that Yak's going to be hurt for that long. Once again, this is a weird period of the season where we have a lot of days off in between games. We're getting 2 days off on a lot of games like we're on right now. We're going to be off tomorrow, too. So there'll be a Wow Wednesday tomorrow. And then after we play on Thursday, they don't play again till Sunday. So there's another 2 days off. So you got to figure 1 game in 5 days with Brooklyn on Thursday. Jakob could, by all intents and purposes, be done with his injury by Sunday and back in the lineup. I really don't think people should overreact to his injury. It looked bad and looked like he was holding himself. But honestly, once again, it's so weird that him and Giddey both had injuries that didn't involve really other players. It's just them misstepping or slipping or sliding or getting turned under. It's too bad. It was sad to see Giddey get hurt. I didn't like seeing that. It was such a freak, weird accident. And I was really worried he was going to fall on Grady and hurt him too, because the way he fell was a little reckless. And that's why Mark Lindsay, the Family Guy, went and reviewed it to see if it was a flagrant fall into Grady to try and hurt him, a reckless closeout, as they put it. But nah, he wasn't trying to fall on him. He just lost his balance and went right into him. But he could have hurt Grady pretty bad falling on his legs like that. Mark Lindsay was very good last night. He has such a good delivery with the challenge microphone. And yeah, the green light on the challenge light wasn't going off at the right time. It was supposed to go off when there was a challenge by the Bulls, and it was unsuccessful. And then later on, there's a referee check that has nothing to do with challenge. The green light is on then. I don't know. Maybe they have some sort of amount of green lights they have to put on during each game. I don't know. They got to meet their green light quota. But yeah, all right, Roxanne, turn on the green light. Yeah, you don't have to put on the green light. Oh, police, the police, put on a green light, put on a green light. You don't have to lose your body in the night. Roxanne, you don't have to challenge that light. Oh, man. But yeah, in some ways, I should be mad about the game yesterday. But listen, y'all didn't get out of bed early enough, obviously. And yeah, it's just what it is. These kind of things happen during an NBA season. In some ways, this year we ain't losing either way because we're winning when we're winning, and we're losing, we're winning also. All right, let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. We'll do the stars of the game, the classic card, the Instagram stories, all the fun stuff we do on the Raptor Street channel every single day. It ain't nothing stopping me. Nah, haters, y'all can fuck off, motherfuckers. That's what I say to them. All right, David. All right, I know you brought this up many times. Commissioner Trivia David Saborin really wants me to monetize my channel more and more. I'm not comfortable with this, David. He's saying no one is here. I should be watching commercials right now. Seriously, why not run commercials from 9 to 9:30 in the lobby? Well, first of all, David, I don't really need that money. Second of all, I don't really want companies that I don't know are going to be running through my ads represented on my channel. Third of all, I'm anti-corporate. Why am I trying to make money for somebody else or even make money off y'all? I know you say, oh, if you just watch it, you're going to get money for just putting that, but it's an integrity thing, David. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have very strong stances on the system of money. I believe money is the root of all evil. And in some ways, I use it only as a means to survive in this cruel, cruel world that makes me have to use it. And I have it, thank God, and I'm fine. So I don't want to play this game any further than I have to. So I have no interest in schlepping corporate interest into your face, even if you want to. If you want to watch commercials, just turn your TV on and watch them there. If you really, really want to watch them, you will never, ever see them on this channel. That may be maddening to you. And you'd be like, well, Lex, you could be making all this ad revenue. I don't give a fuck. I've never, ever cared about making money off this YouTube channel. I've really appreciated your benevolence and sending money to me, but it has never been necessary. And I don't depend on it in any kind of way. I hope you realize this. And I will not ever depend on this either, guys. So let's not get this twisted. If I'm going to come on the show and talk about money being the root of all evil, be anti-corporate, why the fuck would I be a corporate sellout and make y'all watch commercials in the lobby waiting for my show? Does that get across? You'll never see this, David. You could be frustrated about it and be like, why isn't Lex making this extra money here? He could be just making a money grab. I don't value doing this. And I don't want it associated with my channel. So that's it right there. I don't want you to think that I can be compromised in this kind of way, because I can't. I really, really can't. And I mean it when I say this. I'm not going to be a sellout ever. And this in some ways makes me think that it's like a sellout kind of move. And that's why I won't do it, David. So yeah, as I'll say, if you really want to watch commercials, watch them on TV before. And you will never see them in my chat lobby before YouTube's putting all this other stuff in front of me right now this morning, asking me to make goals for super chats. I don't give a fuck about that. If somebody wants to send me a super chat, they have the option. I wasn't totally comfortable with monetizing my channel, to be honest, guys. And even since I've monetized my channel, I thought about turning it back off and just going back to simple. I just make content. If you want to watch it, you can watch it. Because it's never, ever been about this, David. It never has. And the less that my life is about this, the happier I am. Because I understand that this brings misery with it. Either way, whether you have a lot of it or you don't have much of it, you have misery, trust me. And in some ways, I want to live that happy medium life where, you know what, it's a little not as factor for me. I have all my needs met. I'm happy. And that's all that matters. And I'm not greedy. I don't need as much money in the world. Like a lot of psychopaths in this world that are trying to accumulate billions and trillions of dollars. That's sociopathic, psychopathic shit. And at a certain point, people should be able to say, you know, I have enough. I'm good. And you know what? I don't need to go out there and do this. That's part of the problem with capitalism. That's a part of the problem with corporate mindset. And I don't have it, David. So I'm not going to do it. Sorry, man. No offense. It's just not something you're ever going to get. Okay. And I've told you this many times already. Trevor's saying, never forget how far you've come, everything you have gotten. Yeah, come a long way on this channel. Through all the times you have pushed on, even when you felt you couldn't, all the mornings you got out of bed, no matter how hard it was. There you go, Trevor. I love that. You know, that is apropos for what I do on this channel. Every single morning, I got to come in and make the donuts like that guy that get up at Dunkin' Donuts commercials, say, time to make the donuts, and go in at like 5 in the morning. You know, in some ways it is, you know, for a guy who never got up before noon in most of his 20s, getting up and making a 9:30 appointment on YouTube every single morning has been a challenge at times. Trust me. There's been many times where the old me wants to sleep in until past noon, like I used to when I used to work in the bars and the clubs in downtown Toronto. But nah, in some ways, I have a standing date with you guys on YouTube at 9:30, and I will make it no matter what. This is true. This channel's come a long way. Y'all have come a long way, and some people have come with me, and some people have gone. I don't give a shit. That's not what this is about. This is about what I do on this channel as far as what we're doing with talking about Raptors. And when other people want to get into other things and do other things in this channel, well, sometimes they find the door. And that's the lesson. That, yeah. But we keep it on topic. We're good. We're good. Yeah, Trevor, I love you, man. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And yeah, you know what? Whatever you're doing in your life, like Trevor is doing the hair of celebrities, like he did yesterday, keep on keeping on, keep on getting it up and doing what you do best, honestly. Honestly. And hopefully you're fairly compensated to the point where you can have a livable life and you don't need to do some crazy ass shit like have 3 jobs just to fucking feed yourself. You know, that's the shit that's bullshit right there. You know, I go to a gas station, I get filled up, and I have a little air tire problem. And the young man is actually a full service station. I couldn't believe it. You can't find full service gas stations very rare around these parts these days. When a young man comes out to fill my gas tank up, and he's like talking to me, and I'm like talking to him about my truck, and he says, you know, do you know any jobs? Because he didn't want to do that job anymore. It's like, you know what, man? No, I don't. I'm the last guy to ask for about jobs because honestly, I've escaped. And if you can escape at some point, that'd be great, honestly. But no, you know, I do my own work and make my own money on my own way, but I can't really help anybody by giving them a job or anything like that because in some ways that's, you know, it's not how it is, but that's how rough it is out there. People wanting and help, they need help because things is just so hard to survive in society right now. It's only going to get worse as the psychopaths take over now and make the rules even better for the ultra rich and squeeze us all dry otherwise, because that's really what's coming, y'all. So brace for it. The more autonomy, the more homesteading you can do, the more you can grow your own food and take care of yourself on your own, the better off you're going to be in the next couple decades. Trust me. Trust me. Trevor's saying that Shed turned into Kyle Lowry, bringing that big energy. Yeah, let's do the stars of the game because Shed is my #1 star of the game. Shed only came in for the 4th quarter. And in some ways, Darko's got to be kind of second guessing that. 12 minutes for Shed. He was 4 for 4 from the field. He mixed it up. He had 2 3-pointers and 2 up close. He had 4 rebounds, which were big-time rebounds at times. There was that Grady miss late, and Shed swooped in and grabbed it and laid it up and kept some points on the board for the Raptors in a very tight game at the end. You know, Lonzo Ball was very key with those threes that he made late. This guy missed so much during the middle of the game. I'm like, yeah, let Lonzo shoot all day. And then at the end, when it mattered, Lonzo bombs 2 threes in the last 5 minutes that absolutely are daggers that really hurt the Raptors at that point. It's too bad we couldn't get a couple of key stops right at the end of the game because we could have actually won this game by 1 instead of losing by 1. But yeah, Shed was awesome. 6 assists also with only 1 turnover, 1 steal, a +10 with 10 points in 12 minutes. He's my best star of the game, even though he only played the 4th quarter. And I'm wondering why, you know, I have a newfound, even deeper respect for Jamal Shed. I forgot how intelligent this guy is. He did the post-game interview last night, and he said everything exactly right. In fact, they gave him a couple traps last night. Those motherfuckers. Michael Grange, Eric Kareem, I know what you're doing in these press scrums with these Raptors players. You're testing their mentality. You're testing their mettle as far as who they are as people, and maybe they'll show their ass because you give them kind of a fucked up question. You know, asking Jamal Shed, a point guard, about RJ Barrett's work as the starting point guard is a real easy place for Jamal to step in it and say something really, really stupid that could be very ugly for the team. But no, Jamal reiterated he's positive vibes. He's for the team. He's going to do whatever the team asks of him. And he praised RJ for a good 2 minutes on how he's playing point guard right now and doing everything like that. An egomaniac might get pissed off and say, why aren't you talking about me? And why are you asking me about RJ Barrett? But no, Jamal took the opportunity to praise RJ effusively and say a lot of really good things about him. And then, Michael Grange, he may ask a weird question that's kind of like on the down low, negging the person. Like he may say something and word it a certain way, and it's really a put down. And when you say it to a player a certain way, you guys know what I'm talking about when Michael Grange does this. Well, Jamal handled it with grace. He got one of those kind of questions from Grange last night after the game, and he handled it with grace. He didn't take the bait. He didn't get angry. He didn't do any of that. But it was a sucker question that Michael gave him. But no, Shed was so on point with his answers, and he's so intelligent that I forgot that this is why he's going to be successful. Just like Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet is an extremely intelligent basketball player. He's as a human being, he's just really, really smart. And so is Jamal Shed. That's one of the things. If you're going to be a little guy who's trying to play point guard in the NBA, you can't be stupid. You better be really, really smart, because that's going to have to be one of your attributes that's going to help carry you to make up for maybe the lack of height and certain other things in your game. So that's a thing that's going to get Jamal a long NBA career, is the fact that he's a thinker. He's intelligent. He gets it. And he's a good team player. And he's also a very much, like, I believe him when he says he's a good vibes guy. I've seen some weird stuff with him in 905 in the last week or so, and I've called him out a little bit on it. But it seems like he's adjusted. Even just since I said that last week, that Jamal Shed is getting it as far as distributing between his teammates and himself and calling the numbers at the right times. What he did in the fourth quarter last night was built off of the performance he had on Sunday in Maine. That in Maine, he was the floor general, and he really helped guide the 905 to that 1-point victory against Celtics. Well, he was trying to come back and do it for the Raptors last night. And being that kind of factor all over the place, as he put energy everywhere, that really helped the Raptors try and make up the deficit in the last quarter and close it in the way they did. So kudos to you, Jamal. In some ways, you've impressed me a lot just in the last 2 days between the 905 game and the game last night, as far as you are a leader and you do have an impact on helping winning, just like you did in Houston. As somebody put on Blue Skies yesterday, that Jamal Shed has now lost more games on the Toronto Raptors than he lost his whole entire career in Houston in college. And that's sad in some ways, but also something's going to have to give at some point. The more Jamal understands this level, the more he plays at this level, and rightfully so. They gave him a question about the difference between 905 and playing in the NBA, and he didn't take the bait to screw that up either. He said, I play with professionals on both levels, and they're very good at that level too. And it is, you know what? I have to just do my best at either level, wherever I'm at, wherever they ask me to go, I'm willing to go there. He just said everything that I was worried about, and he put it to those fears to sleep. As far as I was worried about Jamal having a problem bouncing back and forth between the 905 and the Raptors, but he doesn't, and he relishes extra time on the court. Now, the 905 have had a couple games added to their schedule in the last day, and I want to go over it. This is Blake Murphy on Blue Skies. Raptors 905, 2 G League showcase games in Orlando this week. These are games that will be played in Orlando are Thursday and Saturday. On Thursday this week, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll be playing the Rio Grande Valley. They are the Houston G League team. So we'll be playing them on Thursday before the Nets game. So there's a doubleheader on Thursday, guys, and it's an afternoon game. So we'll get to watch it at 3:30 in the afternoon. And then Saturday afternoon, we'll play San Diego Clippers at 5 p.m. for the other makeup game. And these are games for showcasing our players, for all the GM and everybody across the league. And this is the normal thing. Now, Frank Kaminsky will be showing up. He's officially signed yesterday, and he will be playing for the 905 in these games. And who knows? He may not be playing long for us after that. It may very well be he gets snatched up after that. So it'll be interesting to see the new additions. Sadly, they waived Kevin O'Banner to make room for Frank Kaminsky coming in now. So this is the other thing. G League is so in flux. You have your roster always changing. It's so hard in some ways. And that's another thing that Jamal Shed has to navigate as the floor general for the 905 this year. My second star of the game is Grady. Grady could not hit his three early. He was like 0 for 5 from 3 very, very early on, but he didn't give up. And when he had to make them, he made them big time late. He had a couple of really, really fantastic threes to, answer the Bulls threes to keep us in the game at the end. And some of those shots were big time, baby. They were big time. The kind of stuff at the end of the game where the crowd is just anticipating and they just erupt when Grady hits a huge three. Fantastic. Now, Grady not making his threes early was annoying because those would have easily helped us in getting maybe the lead for most of the game. But he was doing everything else really well otherwise, whether it was rebounding, being scrappy, getting after it on defense, and also making mid-range shots and attacking the rim. So, even if he's not making his three, he's finding ways to contribute, which is fantastic. 33 minutes for Grady. 9 of 20 from the field. You could have shot a little bit better than 3. That's my only gripe there. 3 for 9 from 3-point range, and all 3 of those threes were in the fourth quarter late. He missed his first 6 shots, and then boom, he makes 3 right in crunch time at the end. 6 to 7 at the free throw line. Everybody who missed a free throw, I'm kind of annoyed with you guys last night. And Grady, you shouldn't miss any free throws. In fact, Grady got 4 free throws in a row because of a Vucevic technical and the Josh Giddey injury foul on a 3-point shot. And he made all 4 of them right in a row. And that was a big swing in the game at that time because we were kind of trying to come back. And then all of a sudden, that play with Giddey actually was a catalyst to get us more back in the game, which was fantastic. But, alas, we couldn't come back and win it completely, just losing by 1. 6 rebounds for Grady, 2 assists, 1 turnover, a plus 15. In 27 minutes. So Grady was a winning player last night, and he was busting his ass. And he even had some really cool dunks, too. He had that one breakaway dunk, and he threw it down, and he had some real swag after that. He was feeling real good after he threw that one dunk down. Yeah, Grady, you're awesome, man. My second star of the game. My third star is still RJ Barrett. I was considering not giving it to RJ and giving it to Chris. Chris is my honorable mention, but it's RJ Barrett. I gotta really understand RJ's working hard. He's not going to be perfect. And in some ways, he's out of his wheelhouse right now, completely where he's totally comfortable being the point guard right now. And Darko straight up said, RJ's the point guard right now while Scotty's out and Emmanuel's out. RJ is the point guard. And in some ways, his assist to turnover ratio was really bad last night. 9 assists for RJ, 6 turnovers. And the 6 turnovers really bugged me. Yeah, 11 of 24 from the field overall, 2 of 4 from 3. 8 of 9 from the free throw line. I mean, that's pretty good. I can give him 1 miss out of 9 free throws, even though we lost by 1. 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks, a +1 with 32 points in 37 minutes. In some ways, RJ got to 30. I can't ignore that and say, oh, RJ doesn't get it, because in some ways he wasn't effective at times late in the game when we needed him to take us home to the W. And in some ways, he beats himself up over this stuff really harshly, guys, just so y'all know. He's the captain. He wants to be the leader, the guy who's holding us and carrying us. He'll do it to an extent. But if he fails a little bit and he doesn't get there, he really is hard on himself, guys. So we don't need to be hard on RJ. He understands his 6 turnovers sucked. He understands missing free throws sucks. And he is actively always a work in progress, working on himself to be better and better. So, yeah, RJ is my third star. I got to give him credit for a 30-point game and just being a very prolific scorer throughout most of the game, even when the Raptors were having a hard time scoring other places. In fact, the team looked really bad when Jakob and RJ weren't out there. And there were a couple of times where Darko had to call a lot of timeouts during the game, and that's not a good sign that we weren't organized and coming correctly. And then, when he would put RJ and Jakob back in, the game always got a little bit more better for the Raptors, and they seemed more confident, and they were working way better. So, yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, Chris was my honorable mention. He got a double-double off the bench. It was nice to see him get in the game again after some DNPs. But also at the same time, I don't know. I just didn't like how Darko staggered the rotations. I don't think that him and Garrett should have been the guys coming in when they did. And who knows? Could have, should have. There's a couple things he could have done different. Boucher, 21 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field. He missed both his 3-point attempts, 3 of 5 from the free throw line. He did miss 2 crucial free throws, too, which annoyed me. 3 offensive rebounds, 10 rebounds altogether, 1 block, a -9 with 11 points in 21 minutes. Yeah, that's just honorable mention. He's not one of the 3 stars. RJ, Grady, and Jamal Shed are my 3 stars of the game from yesterday. That's right. Shed turned into Lowry. Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of Fred Lowry kind of energy in Jamal last night. A real game changer. A real, he was, if he wasn't making a shot, he was finding somebody for a shot. If he wasn't rebounding, he was getting defensive steal. He had it all in a very short period of time. And he was very much involved in plays one after another in the fourth quarter, which is fantastic. Jamal, you keep going, man. You were awesome, man. Yeah, Trevor's saying RJ and Grady, big games. Yeah, tough L, Seymour. Yeah, I could see that. Raps VE, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday on a Tuesday morning, reacting to the Bulls game last night. Basketball God saving us from ourselves. That's one way of putting it. This is a really weird fan perspective right now. And in some ways, it's helping my sanity to a degree. If we're going to lose a game like we lost last night, well, we got to remember what is going on this year. It's a rebuild. And in some ways, it's unwritten and unsaid. Getting another high draft pick player is actually one of the goals for this year. And, well, this goes towards that. So, yeah, as Raps is saying, we're going to add a very important piece to this draft. I'm quite excited. There you go. See, if anything, there's enthusiasm in the prospect of the possibilities through the losing of getting a very good player. And, yeah, ethical tank, whatever you guys want to call it. That you can't say that we didn't try and compete and win this game last night. It's just, once again, I'm going to say this. Experience and veteranness matters in this league. And Vucevic is a veteran. Billy Donovan has been coaching a long time. He's a good coach. And he utilized some of the more veteran, like core players with their team together in a way against us where they outvetted us in closing the game to a degree also. Very, very smart to go up Mobo with Vucevic in the last part of the game and get really easy layup baskets. No defense in some ways. That's part of the problem is the Raptors, without Jakob out there, we have no defense. And people can go to the paint and just score on us easily. And you can't win games by getting stops and coming back from being behind if you cannot stop the other team because you have no center to guard their center. And that was a big part of why we didn't close it out and win it last night. Is we didn't have an answer. And Yak going out was very key and it sucked. It very, very much sucked. And everybody's like, oh, no, not again. Another Raptor getting hurt. And it pisses me off. It's like, why don't y'all scrub the floor better? In some ways, it makes me hate hockey because I know that stupid ice rink is underneath the court, maybe causing the condensation and having people slip like that. I've always thought that was always dangerous for the NBA side of things. I know the conversions guys have really thick pads and stuff like that. But you never know with the winter and the thaws and the changes of we've had a thaw in the last 2 days out here where all the snow's gone again. That kind of stuff can happen in the arena. They have to really be smart about climate control and arenas that the NHL and the NBA share together. Was it that there was just some idiot at the end of the line sitting near Santa and Nav that jumped their whole fucking jumbo drink and it fucking got all the floor, so they had to mop it up for 5 minutes, and we had to stand around like, whoa, they're mopping the floor. Mark Lindsay, thank you for getting them to mop the floor, but apparently it wasn't enough because even after you got them to mop the floor, there was still enough water in the free throw lane for Jakob to do the split. Yeah, that makes me mad. In some ways, that's on our staff that wipes the floor up. And honestly, what the fuck is wrong with that end of the floor? Was there a pipe burst or something? Why was there so much water at that end of the floor yesterday? Was Santa like cheering and spitting out of his mouth? Like, oh, ho, 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 blah, blah, blah. Just water flying out of him. Like he's an exorcist. Like, what is this shit? Why was there so much water on the floor in front of Santa? I never thought I'd say that on Raptor Freak stream. Why was there so much water on the floor in front of Santa? And once again, can I correlate this with Nat Bhatia bringing a special guest when it's a Bulls game and us having some sort of weird fucked up shit happen? Like it's DeAr DeRozan, insert Santa Claus instead of DeAr DeRozan. Nav, stop bringing guests the game. Whatever Santa was doing over there, maybe he lost his piss bag or something like that and went all over the floor. No, we don't need these kind of guests. A bah humbug on that note also. No, I'm just kidding. Santa's awesome, kids. I'll just say that. All right. All right. Trevor's saying refs don't call the 2 fouls. The one on RJ and Chris, they did not get the call. All right. Yeah. RJ is business as usual. Although Mark Lindsay was hooking him up at times. There were a couple times where Mark Lindsay gave a lot of respect to RJ and put him on the line. I was very happy about that. Now, Chris had 2 separate plays where he was going to dunk it and the Bulls undercut him. And he fell flat on his ass and no call, and he missed the dunk. Those were both free throw trips, both times. And that second time it happened, Chris got a technical because he yelled at Janice Schroeder, and rightfully so. Because listen, that man's up in the air and he can't protect himself when he's going up to fly up and throw it down. And if a Bulls player like Kobe White comes in and undercuts him and he falls over, that's a foul, referees. You can't have this physical ass FIBA style with the people in the air. I understand if somebody's standing on the ground, they're fighting for a position, they go push each other and do stuff like that. That's the physicality, is fine. But once somebody's up in the air, you're supposed to protect them, referees. And you were not protecting Chris Boucher and Grady Dick from when they go and elevate and they're trying to attack the rim. These guys are skinny guys and they can get knocked out of the air and hurt very badly. And in some ways, that's the shit that was pissing me off. And when Chris got that technical, I knew exactly why, because they are messing with his livelihood, letting the Bulls hit him out of the air while he's not able to protect himself. And that happened twice. And the second time was when he got the technical. Yeah, it's bullshit. But Mark Lindsay, he did one of those moments last night with RJ where he waited to see if he made the shot or not and then gave him fouls. We hate this when we see this from the other side. It's like, if it's a foul, call the foul. And the referees will wait and look, and if it drops in, they'll just let it drop in and no foul. But this time it was for us. And RJ tried to make a layup. He puts it up, and Mark watches, and the ball rims out and falls out, and he whistle for free throws for RJ Barrett. So there was a little bit of that last night too, Trevor J. Just a little bit of good and bad with the referees in both ways. Seymour saying Mobo, and there was a foul call for Chris, and that was the one where Matt Devlin said, well, that was a great and one there. Didn't see a lot of contact. That may have been a little bit of a makeup call to Chris for some of the earlier bullshit. That Chris went in the lane, made that little shot right in the middle lane. He barely got touched, and they gave him an extra free throw at that time, which was nice. I like that. Seymour saying Mobo is a smaller, more exciting version of Precious. High ceiling, too. Higher ceiling? Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, I think that once again, maybe the difference here is smarts. You know, Jamal Shedd's a very, very smart kid. I think these rookies are very smart, mostly, that we've got. Like Shed, Jacoby, and Jonathan in particular. Those guys are very, very smart guys. Jameson's pretty smart, too, probably, too. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't like the matchup with him on Vucevic. You're asking too much of a rookie who's just in the first half of his first season ever. You know, they've thrown Mobo into situations this year that he's just been in over his head at times, and we've not really paid attention to it, but I've noticed it. And in some ways, I get it. Scott's out. Maybe Scott's like, my starting spot should go to my best friend and let him play in my starting spot. I don't know if he said that to the coach, and that's part of why they're doing it. But I don't think that Jonathan should have been starting the last 2 games, guys. Seriously. I think that they would have been better off with Jacoby starting last night, with RJ still at point guard. And yeah, I just don't agree with it. I'd much rather have a veteran big out there. And then when Yak goes out, you can't have Mobo play center, Darko. You can't do this. He's not ready. He may be ready to do this in a year or 2 from now, but not this year. He's such a baby in the league, and he's going to be stronger. Mobo's going to get stronger still. And when he's stronger, then he can maybe guard people like Precious can as a setter. But he can't do it right now. He doesn't have the know-how. He doesn't have the experience, and he's losing his person he's got to guard. He's letting them get in between him and the basket, and they're getting easy baskets because he's failing on defense, what he's supposed to be doing. Darko said this about Mobo last night. He said, Jonathan needs to get better at screen setting. That is the number 1 priority I have for him to learn right now. I want him to get better with understanding screen setting and stuff like that. Well, I want him to get better with recognizing what he should be doing on defense at any time and always doing it. Because it's great going after steals and rebounds and, you know, some of the stuff he does, but he is too often the weak link on our defense that the other team is scoring on. And that's part of the problem right now. That's why I don't like him starting, and that's why I didn't like him in crunch time last night. I really, really didn't. You would have been better off with Chris Boucher and, God forbid, Bruno Fernando coming in to throw his big weight around against Nikola Vucevic. because that would have been that's what I would have done, honestly. We'll have to see. Stargate saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Wow, Lex criticizing Darko. Am I in the Twilight Zone? Yeah, just a little bit. And it's fair. I think it's fair. And once again, let's not take this as Lex wants Darko fired. Let's not take this as Lex thinks Darko's a bad coach. No, this is just me being a little critical of some of the rotation decisions last night as far as what were you doing in those situations? Why'd you do that? Like I said, I've gone over them. The stuff about when Yaka went out and not really replacing him with the right positional person. We went small. I can get that. But in some ways, we didn't get into the benefits of going small in that situation, because to be honest, the Bulls were the quicker, faster team up and down the court all night long, and they absolutely killed us for that. And then if we had not allowed them to have that advantage in the whole game, we would have won the game last night. We didn't deserve to win the game last night. We played half-ass for most of the game, and we tried to turn it on late and make a late comeback. No, you can't win that way, Raptors. You got to play more ethically the whole entire game. And in some ways, you can't make as many mistakes as y'all were making, whether it's missed free throws or not getting back in transition defense and stopping very quick baskets down the court. Kobe White, Matthias Buzelis, those guys were getting down the court quick and throwing it down and putting it up and doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought that the Bulls played a really good first half. And I was like, at halftime, I was telling everybody in the chat, I was like, I don't think they'll play as good in the second half, and we'll play better because Darko will wake us up. Well, Darko didn't wake us up immediately after the half. In the third quarter, they continue to be lackadaisical and not start very well in the third quarter, much to Monique's chagrin. And she was very mad about that in the chat last night. And then all of a sudden, they try to turn it on in the fourth quarter with Shed as the energy ball that's driving it. Man, that's too late. Too little, too late. And, well, if you guys are ethical tanking and you're doing this on purpose to a degree, bravo. Y'all are artistes. You guys do a good job at this. It's really crazy. Stargate say, just kidding. This team just needs to learn how to win. Sorry, but Darko looked a little inexperienced last night against Donovan. Those guys are best friends. You could tell. Like, Darko has really good friendships with certain other NBA coaches right now already. I know he has a close relationship with Popovich. I know he has a relationship with Willie Green. He has a relationship with Billy Donovan. And that's from Oklahoma City when they were there together on the same staff. Now, in some ways, Darko really likes the certain matchups that he gets. Like Spoelstra's somebody he really likes to play coach chess against. And he really relished the 3 games recently against the Miami Heat. And, well, Billy Donovan's kind of in the same kind of ilk of Eric Spoelstra. He's a very, very smart tactician and, a changer around in what the game plan is as the game adjusts. He's an adjuster. And, Billy's really smart, man. He's a really, really smart coach. He's really interesting because he's one of those rare coaches that really translated to both levels of high-level basketball, which is college and pro, because he was absolutely a great college basketball coach for Florida back in the day. And since he's been in the NBA, he's stuck around. That's the thing. A lot of these guys like Rick Pitino, Jerry Tarkanian, they're great college coaches, and then they go to the NBA and they suck. But Billy Donovan has survived. And that's a testament to his IQ and his level of coaching that he does and what he does. And he does a good job. He really got the Bulls to do a lot of things last night that were winning, and he had the right game plan, and they very much executed it, and they did what coach wanted. So I have to give a lot of credit to Billy Donovan in some ways. I really do. And I'm not going to disagree with you, Stargate. I think in some ways Billy's more experienced than Darko in certain ways as far as the NBA, and that may have shown a little bit last night. Yeah, I can see that. Nameless is here. Good morning, Nameless, my Italian plumber friend. If Yak is out for a prolonged period, this could get ugly quickly. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be out for that long. Seriously. He was able to walk off the court on his own. Like I said, we're men, some of us on this channel. We've had groin injuries. We know what those are like. It's like a pulled groin or something like that. If they baby him, they want him to be absolutely 100% before he comes back. Maybe he will be out for a little longer than I think. But if they really want to get him back, it's not that I want them to rush him. It's just that, sometimes guys can come back and play sooner than it seems. Like, I really think that Emmanuel and Bruce might have been able to come back already. I don't know. Maybe not Emmanuel, because I don't totally understand his injury with his elbow and stuff like that. It's like a baseball injury. But Bruce He seems like somebody who could have been out there playing already by now, and they're really looking for him to tick up just like a phone into that 100% battery. I mean, seriously, can we put him back in at like 85% or 90%? Do we have to wait until they're absolutely 100%? Yes, that we do, Lex, because we're ethically tanking and having guys pulled out of the lineup because they're not absolutely 100% is a good way, guys, of doing this. So yeah, it sucks. You're right though. If Jakob is out for a prolonged period, as we saw last year, it will get very ugly. And especially if Scotty's still not back completely either. Now, that's weird because I was really expecting for Thursday that we'd have our full complement of our roster available on Thursday, but it looks like Yak's going to be a scratch for sure on Thursday. But it could very well be that Bruce, Emmanuel, and Scotty all return against the Nets on Thursday, guys. So, like the little graphic they showed at the beginning of the broadcast last night with the in-out door, there's just more of a revolving door once again, and Jakob's going out it this way. And maybe, hopefully, Bruce will debut, IQ and Scott will return and come through the indoor of next game. And I can see this, I can see this happening. Fiercey's here. Good to see MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy Tuesday. Annoyed to see comments are in reference to ethical tanking. Jamal Shed was clearly disappointed despite hitting his three. Yeah, too little, too late. He's not used to being on this side of the win-loss column. And in some ways, the competitor in him hates it. And I'm glad that's the way it should be. This is the DNA of a winner that feels like this, that, win is everything. And if I don't win, why should I feel good? Yeah, I like that. Michelle Carter came out and yelled at us. My son likes to smile all the time because he's blessed and he's happy and he's smiling because he's blessed. Yeah, we got mad at him for smiling after blowout losses all the time. That's why we said this shit, Michelle, because we'd see Vince Carter lose a game by 15 or something, and he's smiling and laughing with the other team like he didn't give a shit that the Raptors lost. We see Jamal Shed gives a shit about the Raptors losing last night. And that's the difference. You go ahead, Michelle Carter, and say, my son is blessed. That's why he smiles all the time. Why did you always talk about him smiling? That's because we were losing. And if we were real ones for the Raptors, we weren't smiling. No, we weren't, like Vince was. And he's our franchise player. That was messed up. I still remember those days. I still remember criticizing him. Before there was social media, I would be at the arena with my coworkers watching the game because I'm working in the arena at the time. And I'd say, why the fuck is he smiling? We just lost. What is wrong with that guy? That used to piss me off back then in like 2001, y'all, when we would lose and Vince would be like so happy-go-lucky, like he didn't give a shit about whether we lost or not. That pissed me off. I mean, even if you don't care, Vince, don't be smiling and on the camera and acting like, oh, we just lost. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm glad that Jamal was pissed. Seriously, that's a good sign. That's a very good sign. Yeah, David's saying, hopefully we can trade Bruce, Boucher, and Kelly for a really nice player and get a great draft pick, contenders next season. Yeah, I mean, I still think we could be contenders this year if we get health. That's all we need. That's the only thing stopping us from being a better team and winning more is if we had our whole roster available this whole time, like a lot of other teams have had this year. Some people said on the broadcast the other day that injuries are cyclical, that you'll go through injuries as a franchise for periods of time and then go away and you'll have healthy periods and stuff like that. It seems like the Raptors have had injury period for a little while now. That's been annoying, maybe since Tampa, honestly. COVID and all that bullshit. We really haven't had good runs where everybody's healthy for a long period of time, and it sucks. I hate that. I don't want this to be the new NBA where you're constantly having this revolving door of guys going in and out. There are teams this year, barely any injury games lost, players lost to injury. And that must be such a luxury. Oh, my gosh, that must be such a luxury. Now, talking about trade speculation, ESPN had a list of the players that are being watched and looked at very closely around the NBA, and there was only one Toronto Raptor listed, and it was Bruce Brown. And that's basically because of the stuff from last year still, that everybody's expecting that shoe to drop at some point from the Pascal trade, and Bruce will get moved. But they didn't mention anything about Chris or Kelly. And it's very interesting that Darko played Chris last night. It really, really is. I don't know. I don't know what to think at this point with Boucher, whether he is actually somebody who's in the trade market right now and people are talking about it and Bobby's taking calls on. I don't know. Kelly's not going to get traded, David. Even if you want him to get traded, he will not get traded because in some ways the plan is to have him here until he retires and then he'll be gone. And he doesn't want to play for any more teams. And I think that we'll do that for him because honestly, in some ways, Kelly's a great person to have around to teach people. Now, I get it. Trevor was mad at him last night saying Kelly has not done anything good in this game. And I agree. There was a lot of the game he didn't do very well. He did have that up and under layup that he had for his only points. And, the thing that's bugging me about Kelly is he's looking off his own threes. He's having opportunities where he could launch it. And that's what we need from you, Olynyk. Nobody else is a good free three-point shooter overall. You're okay. And if you get a green light to shoot the threes, don't hesitate. Stop holding it and and then like passing it to somebody else. In some ways, Kelly Olynyk plays at a different pace of the NBA game, and it wasn't compatible with the Bulls' pace last night. And that was a huge part of the problem with him. Step too late and looking like bad on defense when Vucevic slips behind him or gets around him with a dribble even. There was a point where Vucevic dribbled around him and attacked the rim, and Kelly got left in the dust. Yikes. Yeah, let's go do the rest of the box score right now and talk about the rest of the Raptors. Mobo started 28 minutes, 2 for 4 from the field, missed his only free throw. That was annoying, Jonathan. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, +8 in 4 minutes. I still don't agree with starting him right now, Darko. This is not Scotty's stand-in. Like as you're doing a play, this is our lead for Romeo, and this is the stand-in. Oh, the lead for Romeo and Juliet is out. So stand in, come in and do the part. And it shouldn't be like this. Scotty is not getting a stand in by Jonathan. Even if there are similarities in the two, then some things you can slightly duplicate to a level with Jonathan Mobo in there instead of Scotty Barnes. Does not get it twisted. They're very, very different levels of what they're doing. And in some ways, I do not agree with Jonathan starting in the last 2 games. I feel like this has been a problem. In some ways, you want to start games on the good foot. Like James Brown would say, get on the good foot. And, we want experienced guys out there to start the game so that know how to get you in the game in the right way. And there's some stuff that Jonathan, he's active, he's rebounding, he's blocking shots, he's making a 3 occasionally, he's putting putbacks by dunking it back. And good job last night not flubbing that dunk, even though they gave you contact, he made sure you put it through. And that's something you said you were working on last week, Jonathan. So kudos to you on that. But I'm telling you, there's a certain level of gravity in the game and a presence and understanding and cohesion with your teammates that he's just too beginner still. And that is hurting us. And in some ways, that's how teams are beating our defense, is that Jonathan is inexperienced and they're taking his inexperience and using it against him. And it's subtle. It's in little ways that you can't totally discern. Some people say, that's not fair to Jonathan. No, it is completely fair because this is happening. And it's a similar thing that's happening on the G League level with Shamshay. Shamshay starts games for the 905. They're all in disarray and they're chaotic and disorganized because in some ways Shamshay doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I mean, I'm serious. Ola Shamshay does not know what he's doing on a basketball court right now. Y'all cannot expect him to be amazing right now because he needs time to learn. He's only 18. Well, apply the similar kind of effect with Jonathan starting for the Raptors right now. That's why I don't agree with it right now. I really don't. Jakob Poeltl, before he got hurt, 22 minutes, 3 of 7 from the field, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, a -7 with 6 points. Yeah, Yak was nice at the beginning. Very first play, a very, very beautiful play with RJ Barrett. And then like an alley-oop also after that. Yeah, just really, really good stuff by Yak right away. And he's so good at for Darko on after timeouts with set plays that they set up. They really center sometimes the scheme around Jakob being the hub, and they're absolutely perfect. You see beautiful execution out of timeouts by plays that Darko draws up that are centered around our center. And I love that. They started the game really well. In fact, him and RJ were like very key on the first couple plays of the game, and I like that. But he went away from him after a while, and in some ways, Jakob was more just out there running and kind of negating Vucevic, and then he got hurt. But yeah, I would have maybe liked to seen Jakob do more offensively earlier in the game and carrying us, but we're going to him, which was interesting. I think maybe that's a testament to Vucevic and how he's a pretty good defender in some ways, guys. Oshai was pretty good last night, honestly. 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 2 of 4 at the free throw line. So that's a problem right there, Oshai. Missing 2 free throws. That you could have won the game yourself for us. 3 rebounds, 1 block, a -5 with 15 points and 31 minutes. It's mediocre. It's not horrible. He contributed. He got double digits. He shot pretty well, and he was doing pretty good things on the court, getting up and down the court. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I won't get mad at him. I won't, but overly praise him either. He could have been maybe a star, honorable mention in this game, but he didn't do enough in major ways that I would do that. And the 2 missed free throws are big problem for me. Olynyk, 13 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field. And missed his only 3-point attempt. He could have taken like 3 or 4 more than the one he did. 3 of 4 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, and 5 fouls in 13 minutes. The man got a lot of fouls quick and turnovers quick. -7 with 7 points in 13 minutes. I don't even remember him getting so many points. I thought he only made that little layup and that was it. But I guess he did get to the line a bit. Yeah, it just wasn't a game to play Kelly in. In some ways, Darko may should have recognized this and not put him in the rotation last night. I think that in some ways he should have recognized that the Bulls game was a fast-paced game right away, and that even if you were wanting to play Kelly as the backup center last night, maybe you should have chose Fernando. Seriously, because Fernando is a little bit faster than Olynyk in some ways. It seems like. And really, you just need somebody who's going to keep up with the shadow of Vucevic and kind of just physically body him. It's very important. And Mobo just couldn't do it. Boucher's not going to do a good job with it either. And in fact, at the end of the game, you saw RJ trying to guard Vucevic at the end of the game. In the place of, Mobo's not there, there's a switch, and boom, all of a sudden, RJ's trying to guard Vucevic in a horrible mismatch. And Vucevic's easily going to score. So I would have maybe just DMP'd Kelly last night, gotten Bruno in earlier. And then when Yacht went out, Bruno's already made up and going. Because you may need to understand, Kelly Olynyk can't be in really fast-paced games. He's going to hurt us. He's going to hurt us, guys. Boucher already went over. Garrett Temple made that appearance for 3 minutes, and I was, shocked. I was like, wow, Garrett's in. Darko's having a really weird rotation tonight. Very weird. I love what Shed said after the game last night. He said he's talking about, his role and how it's morphing. And he's, in the rotation, out of the rotation, doing things at 905, doing things at Raptors, just going every which way. And basically, Jamal cited Garrett Temple coming in and playing ready to play in a game this season as his inspiration. That he's like, I may have been weird about things in certain ways with how I was being used by the franchise and for the two teams. But once I saw Garrett Temple come out and do spot duty, and there was one game in particular, and it's one we all remember because the team all applauded for Garrett because he came out and he played. He was kept ready, and he didn't play for a lot of games. And then all of a sudden he got his number called, and he came out there and he played at a high level of excellence and showed such a good role model in that sense that it really stuck with Jamal. That he said after the game is like, when I saw Garrett do that spot duty, always staying ready and doing what he did, he was such a good role model for me. And understanding this whole aspect of this league is that, you may not be in the rotation all the time. You may not get minutes for a month, but you need to stay ready like Garrett Temple does. And that he's such a good role model as a pro like that. I love that. That's part of the reason why you have Garrett Temple on the team, because he's showing a good role model and example for the young Raptors on how to carry yourself as an NBA player and to stay ready even if you're not in the plans every night. That's just how it is right there. Yeah, so I'm very proud of that. Garrett only took 1 shot, missed it, and he had 1 turnover. He was a +1, though, inexplicably. Davion Mitchell, somebody I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more last night. 16 minutes for Davion, 1 of 2 from the field. He hit a very key three-pointer at one point. 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 3 points. Very active in defending. And in some ways, I would have liked to see Davion more. In some ways, I'm not totally happy with starting RJ at point guard. I feel like in some ways, RJ needs to be the guy scoring. And if he's worrying about passing too, that's the part of his game that was ugly. There were too many times last night where RJ was trying to force the ball into areas where there were a lot of Chicago defenders, and it turned into a turnover. You've got to read the floor better, RJ. Don't set up your teammates to fail. There were 2 instances last night maybe more, but the two that stand out in my head were you were trying to pass the ball to Jakob in the lane, and there were two Bulls defenders in between you and Jakob. And of course, they picked it off because you forced the pass to Jakob. And then there was a play with Grady to Oshai where he absolutely should not have passed the ball to Oshai in the transition. And they basically put him in the lion's den. Y'all can't just read, okay, there's my teammate. He's ahead. We can get a fast break up the court. You got to read where the defenders are too. And if they're going to jump in the passing lanes and seagull that pass, or they're going to make it very difficult for the guy you're passing it to receive the ball, and they're going to just lose the ball anyway. Y'all got to understand that part of the aspect of it too, because in some ways you're passing it into a bunch of black jerseys and we're losing the ball. And that happened a lot in the first half last night. And Davion Mitchell is better at not doing that kind of stuff because in some ways he reads the floor better on the fly in transition. And that's the guy I want out there more, playing more point guard, honestly. In some ways, I don't agree with starting Mobo. Start Mitchell instead and let RJ play his natural position. That's what I said on that. Yeah. DJ, why don't you, is he even on this stat sheet? DJ Carton's on here still. Okay. Jacoby Walter, fine game. Much like Oshai, very steady, very solid, very measured, very smart. Not a lot of mistakes. Doesn't look like a rookie. Doesn't look like a rookie at all, Jacoby Walter. 3 of 6 from the field, a 0 for 1 at the three-point line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a -6 with 6 points in 24 minutes. Yeah, he had that one shot that was very measured. Jamal got it to him, and he came from the three-point line, dribbled in, and bank shotted it in. There's some stuff that Jacoby's doing that I'm like, wow, if he's already doing this now, he's going to expand his offensive repertoire. It's kind of like a guy like DeMar DeRozan got more and more easy shots in different ways. Well, Jacoby has that kind of stuff in him, and he's already successful and measured and smart about it. So he's not going to have the learning curve of being more quality and more efficient because he's already efficient. And in some ways, we're going to see him expand more and more and hopefully score more and more because of it. So, man, kudos to you, Jacoby Walter. You were fantastic last night in the time that you were out there. Yeah, just going over the rest of the team a little bit on the box score right there. Yeah, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. Stargate saying both the players and the coaches were a few steps slower than the Bulls. Yeah, I think that's fair. The players physically on the court, not keeping up with them, especially the transition defense is just not getting back. There's been too many teams recently we've been playing that get behind us and they just get the Hail Mary pass and boom, they're behind us and the receivers pass the secondary and boom, they're getting a touchdown. That's annoying. That's annoying right there. In some ways, that some of the football principles I was just talking about are important to basketball. And you can't let guys leak out and get little dunks like Matthias Buzelis was doing last night. You know, no, you can't do that. That's why we have guards. They have to guard things. And this is part of the problem with starting RJ with no guards. Him as the point guard is we don't have any trained guards like Davion out there being the Bulldog guard. And when they're coming back, somebody's got to get back and mess that up, like whether it's stripping Jalen Brunson of the ball. I mean, we saw Davion Mitchell strip the ball off Kobe White and bounce it off his head to get out of bounds and then call the challenge play. And Darko's like, oh, right, Davion? He's like, yeah, bounce it off his head. Do the challenge. He called for it, and he was right. And Darko trusted him, and they got the possession. In some ways, I thought that play wasn't as important to challenge and maybe save it just in case they screw us on it, but it was right because we won it, and we did get the possession from it. And that's Davion getting back and getting hands on balls when guys are trying to lay it up and messing up their easy layups because he's playing a guard and defending our basket. And in some ways, we don't have guards out there, Darko. Well, they're going to run behind us and run touchdowns down the court like they did the Bulls in the first half. Yeah, that's how I look at it right there. Yeah. Let's see. Fiercely saying, yes, Lex. I couldn't understand why Bruno was not played after Jakob's injury. The Bulls feasted on us as we had no size in the paint. Yeah, Vucevic became a problem then. He did have a 3 at one point, but he wasn't really stretching the floor too much, and that wasn't the issue with him. It was like, 10 of 17 for Vooch, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, a +2 with 24 points in 32 minutes. Yeah, it wasn't like he was totally dominating, but dominating at key times when it mattered. And maybe Donovan wasn't totally going at him and beating us over the head with him on purpose. And he was just really using him as a secret weapon at key times to just call his number like at the end and really make sure they made baskets for sure. I mean, you had RJ coming down the court and making really high percentage shots, being really smart, taking it right to the rim and laying it in. And meanwhile, going the other end, we can't get a stop because nobody's big enough to stop Vucevic right at the rim there. Yeah, that was annoying. That was very, very annoying in that way. Vooch leading them to that. And Kobe White, he's a spark plug. He's all over the place. He's a very good three-point shooter. And he was annoying last night. That's part of the reason why I want to see more off night, is because Mitchell maybe could have slowed down Kobe White better from the start of the game if we had started him instead of Mobo. I'll keep saying this in some ways, you know. They had really good contributions from bit players last night too. Phillips was really strong in the little bit of time he came out there. 12 minutes, 4 of 5 with 10 points in 12 minutes. He made his only three and his only free throw. And then the rookie for them was so impressive. The kid Bazelis, he mixed it up, whether it was like a three here, rebounding, offensive rebound, put back. You know, there's a lot of interesting things he did that were key to help them last night and sparking them. So, you know, there were a couple of things. Jalen Smith came in for a brief second. He hit 2 threes. He was 3 of 5, 10 points in 16 minutes. He was very productive in the little bit of time he was out there on the bench. In fact, their bench was a huge part of why they won last night, is those guys coming out there and doing fantastic things. THT also. And then, like I said, Lonzo missed a lot of shots early, but he made a couple threes late that absolutely helped them win. In some ways, those are flukes, man. Lonzo Ball hitting those threes at the end of the game, they could have easily been bricks, and they're lucky those went in. They could have easily been some bricks, telling you. My gosh, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Nako's here. Good to see Gerald. Good morning, Gerald. How are you? I like the fourth quarter. Good fight. Good development. I'm happy with that game. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm just not mad at it. In some ways, there's been games I've gotten mad at because of the refs, like the Mavericks and the Knicks game, the last Homestead we had. But, you know, this one, I got to blame the Raptors for not coming correct to the game. And that's it. That's really the main thing. It's like, if y'all are going to play kind of passively and not compete the same as the team you're playing against for 40 minutes, yeah, you losing by 1. Well, that's kind of a accomplishment, honestly. You go spot them. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. You're going to say, yeah, you go ahead and get like a 5-lap lead on us, and we'll try and catch up and run up on you at the end. That's the way the Raptors play sometimes. They have for a few years, and I hate that. I hate playing catch up. I hate playing catch up. You don't have catch up, you don't have no problem then. That's right. Fiercely saying that David Kelly wants to retire a Raptor, though. Yeah, and you know what? It may be sooner than y'all think, honestly, because his back has really been a problem this year. His back tightening up like this. You know, I don't know the length of his contract exactly. If he's on contract for us next year, he may not be, guys. It could very well be his last year playing. We don't know. You know, Kelly Olynyk does not have many more years in the NBA. That's just the damn truth. So I don't think that this request fulfillment is not that difficult, or it should be a problem for us. You know, in some ways, people may be worried about him Olajuwoning or Otto Portering us. No, I think he's been very helpful in his tenure with the Raptors already. That you cannot put him in the category of Otto Porter or Hakeem Olajuwon. This guy coming here just to get a payday at the end of his career in his hometown. Some people may have thought of that, but no, he's been very productive and helpful to us at times. That you can't say this, that he's been a waste of his money. No, he's been helpful. Let's see. Stargate saying the only thing I can think of is that Darko had instructions from the front office to showcase certain guys, because the way Darko was coaching was very confusing to me. I think he had an idea of what he was trying to do. He did try and explain it after the game, Stargate. He said that he very much had in mind that some of these guys had played a 905 game the day before. And that's why he held off on playing Shed. He very much said this. It's like Shed played yesterday, and he was in 40 minutes. He played a lot in the main game, and it was very tiring. Plus, he had to travel from Maine to Toronto. And as Matt Jack said on the broadcast, getting from Portland, Maine to Toronto isn't a direct, easy flight. It's like you have to probably fly to New York and then fly to Toronto, or maybe you have to fly to like Ottawa or Montreal or something like that. Who knows? But I get that why he said that and why he was thinking that. And that's probably the main reason why he didn't play AJ either, is because of the back-to-back and worries of them being tired out. But in some ways that backfired because it should have been the other way. Those guys were revved up and everybody else was lackadaisical coming back from a mini vacation. And that's what it looked like to me as far as things. I mean, yeah, there were a couple mistakes. And I've gone over them. I don't want to harp on them too much. I think the center stuff and Jamal Shed not playing in the first half are the two main things he probably screwed up on the most. Right there. Right there. Yeah. Stargate saying groin injuries are strange. I both remember Pascal. As Pascal's, hang on, it just jumped ahead. Let me get back to the right spot. Why did you jump ahead? Okay, yeah, groin injuries are strange. I both remember Pascal and DeMar both had the same injury in the past and missed a bit of time. It's going to depend on things. I mean, like I said, the goal of this year is to be like, yeah, you've got a groin injury. Wait till you're 100%, just like your phone charged. Maybe he could play at 86% charged. Maybe he could play at 75% charged. But in some ways, the goal this year is to only play guys when they're 100%. Well, he may be missing some time then for a little while. They may be missing some time. We'll have to see. David saying that Kelly, good for Kelly. Yeah, we love Kelly. Kelly's a Canadian. He's from Toronto. We love our Canadian guys. And in some ways, he's an Olympian. He's a hero. And, let's not get it twisted. These guys are awesome. And in some ways, once again, I'm not really like I think that it matters in some ways how you treat people. And with how things are going with Kelly and us, things are great. And in some ways, it's like, look, we didn't know that he's gonna have his back all tight for the season, and I'm just glad he's able to play now. It's just maybe last night wasn't the right game for him to play, and that's okay. He should be selectively used. In fact, this may be information that the Raptors coaching staff takes in and saying, Kelly didn't do good against up-tempo team like the Bulls. Maybe we don't play him when we play the next up-tempo team like this. In some ways, that's what I would take from this, because if you got to decide between Olynyk and Boucher every night on rotational decisions, well, maybe that's part of how you decide it. Is this a team that slows it down and grinds it out and is more physical? We'll get Kelly out there. If this is a team that sprints up and down the court and we need some up and down really fast, we'll maybe play Chris or Bruno more, is what I'm saying. Maybe Bruno isn't the right answer. It is Chris. Maybe it is Chris. Carlos saying, yeah, I was thinking that too. Playing JMO instead of Bruno against a big body. Yeah, it just didn't fit at the end of the game. And it was crucial. And in some ways, Vucevic getting easy scores at the end of the game, a 1-point loss. Yeah, that's easy to point to. Easy to point to. Good morning to you, Kaloy. How are you this morning? Always good to see you. Smooth saying, I have YouTube Premium. No commercials for me. Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, it's like, I get why David's saying this, because he wants to help me. He wants me to help me get more money, but that's not one of my goals on this channel, David. You've got to understand, my money, this world does not revolve around this in my life. It never has. I don't ever want it to be that way, because in some ways, people are much happier when this is not the most important and central thing in your life. In some ways, there's a lot more to life than chasing the money dreams that they taught us that we're supposed to do when we're kids. And in some ways, I'm going that Zen Buddhist life and retreating into the woods and just finding the truth intrinsically in nature at this point, and escaping the man-made world of bullshit. And this is right in the middle of it. This is right in the middle of it. Fiercely saying, commercials on what though? I watched this basketball-related content channel and he plugged a meal prep business. He even showed a demo and heated the food in the microwave. I was like, yeah, that's weird too. Like, I get it. Like, Professor Rock's a channel I like to watch a lot. Y'all know Professor Rock, I'm sure. He does a great job of going over classic songs and talking about the inside story of the artist and how they made it. Well, Professor Rock very seamlessly puts ads into his stuff very well with like his glasses. He likes to, because he wears them and he puts them on blast. And then he's got t-shirts he's promoting now that have like 80s stuff. Like, that makes sense. But to me, I'm not a salesman in this way. I'm not a salesman. I'm not trying to be a shill. I don't want to have products endorsed on my channel that I don't get choice over. If I made commercials happen before the stream, I don't know if I get to choose which ones they are. And in some ways, I don't want to do that. Because in some ways, as much as the NBA has Emiratis on the NBA shirts, I saw that happen when that change happened. And it was like, yeah, we're just going to hell. Corporations are taking over. They absolutely own this world at this point. But what world do they actually own? They own nothing. They own a bunch of bullshit and fake ass shit. The real stuff is out there. And that is the stuff I'm going towards. And that's the stuff that matters, honestly. We can make all this bullshit up around us and think that it's important, but it really isn't in the end. Connection, love, humanity, nature, the natural world is what's more important than all the man-made bullshit we've invented since we're so smart. We made all this, and AI will be the last nail in the coffin that makes us all fucked up for the rest of humanity's existence, honestly. So yeah, I ain't doing this. You ain't gonna see me do this. I did some commercials for a little while for a little known company here in the Toronto area, and I regret every single one I did of them, considering what has happened since. And in some ways, I'll never ever do this again. I may do it for nice people like Amari Parsons, a great realtor in the western side of Toronto near Mississauga. If y'all need a place to rent, if you need a mortgage or somewhere to live, Omari's your guy. Look up Amari Parsons, a great Raptor freak, a personal friend of mine, and I want to help his personal business. Maybe I'll do that, but I ain't going to fucking put some strange corporations commercials on the front of my stream. No, I'll never do this, David. So just let it rest. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Fiercely saying commercials on healthy measures, exercises, wellness are okay, I guess. Now, to me, it's the whole idea of it. In some ways, you want me, look, I can be like a stock car driver, but the only symbol on me is this one. You ain't going to see no Shell. You ain't going to see no Emiratis. You ain't going to see any of this bullshit because in some ways, once again, I'd be a hypocrite if I could be bought. If I'm going to spout all the things and my personal beliefs about the system of the world right now, well, if Alexa's coming around trying to get handouts from David and doing all this stuff, then I'd be a fucking hypocrite. So I don't do this because this is the truth. I don't need the money. I don't need the ad revenue. And I'm being very straight up about it. Sure, I could do this and make a couple extra bucks. And some people may be like, Lex, you're stupid. You could be making more income from this. Maybe I don't give a shit. Maybe my principles matter to me more than the little bit of money that YouTube would send me for an ad revenue. Seriously. I mean, that's where I'm at with this. I'm not caught up in this shit. And it's a slippery slope. You get all worried about this and then, oh, I got to cater my channel to this because I'm losing subscribers or I'm losing this revenue. I don't give a fuck about any of this. I could lose half my subscribers tomorrow and I would not give a fuck because I'm doing this out of passion. I'm doing this for myself because I love the Raptors and I want to help the Raptors and the Raptors fans stay educated and informed and just enjoy and share our passion together. That's what it's all about. And you start bringing in other forces and other things. This is part of why I was very, very wary of monetizing my channel because I did not want to change it. I did not want to change that aspect of who I am and what I'm doing. And when you start bringing money into things, it confuses and complicates things. And fuck that shit. So I know, announce it, get it out. I'm not going to do this. And even if they're good products, even if there's something that would actually be helpful, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be a vehicle. My channel is not going to be a vehicle for YouTube to draw revenue from in that kind of way. They already do because if somebody's dropping a super chat or a membership, then all of a sudden they are getting a cut from it. And in some ways that bugs the shit out of me. That's part of the reason why I don't want to have it monetized is because I don't want YouTube making money off of me. I'll do this. I just want the forum. I just want the access. I just want the ability for y'all to find me every day like this. That's all I want from YouTube. I don't necessarily want to make a whole bunch of money off of it. That's right. That's how it is right there. That's it. Carlos saying the only reason I see is JMO is a long-term piece that needs to be developed instead of playing to win with Bruno. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There could be a lot of internal reasoning for why the decision was to have Jonathan play center to close out the game last night. It was not good. A decision. It was not a good decision. All right, somebody's calling me. You know what? If it is like a telemarketer, maybe I'll take it. Let me see. I'll be right back. Oh, they hung up before I got to it. I think it was probably just like a bill collector looking for a Vinay. This has been like all these calls I get for the guy who had the phone number before me is like, you have this money that is needed or something like that. They try to scare you. They're like, your credit is going downhill. Your bank account's all messed up. I talked about this before. The weird calls you're getting these days. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the reasoning. And some maybe it was a long-term project. That might be right, Carla. That may be right. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. Roxanne, you don't have, yeah, you like that. Year one of rebuild, exciting. Rookies and youngins, significant minutes are valuable. Brady, my favorite from rookie days. RJ needs to pass when the triple team in clutch and get well, number 4. Yeah, I think Scotty's gonna be back. You notice that Scotty was not at courtside last night. I did not see him on the bench with Quickly and Bruce. It could very well be, but this is the thing. We heard Scott was back in Toronto on Sunday because he was at practice. But I don't know. Maybe he went off somewhere else again, or maybe there's something to do with his young bundle of joy that he has to go and take care of. There may have been a very good reason for why Scotty was excused from the game last night and not sitting at courtside. This happens sometimes, and I notice these absences, and I wonder about them, and I will speculate and maybe think about them a little too deeply. Why is Scotty not sitting on the bench? Well, it has been a long period of time off with games he's injured. And maybe he's getting some extra time with different people in different places. Maybe this was part of the reason why we lost last night, was because Scotty wasn't there coaching them and yelling and doing his communication from the bench. We needed you, Scott, to be out there doing your part and what you do when you're not able to play, and as far as organizing from the bench. So maybe that was part of it. I don't know. It's very weird. I was wondering about that. Why Scotty wasn't sitting there. Yeah, Fiercely saying it needs to make sense to the Raptor Freak channel. I'd be more than willing to support. I can play the stream in the background while working. I don't mind, but I respect Lex not wanting to do it. It's just in some ways I get David's really trying to be helpful, and he has his place in the right place with his heart. But it's a very philosophical thing for me, guys. And in some ways, I know it's easy money. I know David's saying, but you're crazy. You could be making this much if you did this every day. And I'd just leave it on for hours and just rack you up like tons of money like that. I know you've told me this, David. But in some ways, once again, I want to prove that at some point there still needs to be some people in this world that cannot sell out to the big almighty God called the dollar. And in some ways, if I'm going to take a personal stand like this, I want to be an example of this. In some ways, some people say, well, you're just stupid, Lex. You're just giving up free money. Well, maybe somebody needs to show that example in some ways. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, I'm trying to stand on something that matters to me. In a world where this is ever increasingly something that some people will be like, well, you're just showing privilege. You have the ability to do this and not have to do that. We all need to scrape by and do this and this to make our ends meet. And you're not able, you don't have to do this. Well, okay, maybe you're right. But in some ways, I'm just trying to, I have a principle on this and I want to stand on it. It's just how it is. Stargate saying a perfect example of how going corporate can totally change and degrade your channels. Luca Rosano, as soon as he went that way, his content went downhill fast and he's never recovered. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, look, if I do a jokey ad for a friend like Omari, that's different. It has personality. In some ways, I've seen how Jim Cornette does his ads on his show, on his podcast, and they're fun because he makes them entertaining and he riffs off them and he's kind of goofy about them. Sometimes he makes fun of the product that he's supposed to be endorsing. But, I would do it that way if I was ever going to do it. But in some ways, I like picking and choosing. In fact, that was part of the satire or parody of me doing the ads for the guy who I used to do them for, and also doing them for different people. Otherwise, I want to represent people like Kenrick Chronic Art James, who has done very awesome Raptor Freak art for me in the past. He's a very active Facebook chat member with us in there, and he's a good friend. And I don't mind promoting an independent tattoo artist in the greater Toronto area and talking about him and maybe connecting people. But I don't think that, Emirates or Shell or Amazon need my help in like putting out their product. And that's part of it there too. I want to slate small potatoes, local markets and farmers, small businesses. That's who I support. If I could do that, if I could have mostly ads of just really small businesses that have no corporatization, you can get me to advertise for you. That's the one way I would do it right there. But that's a sad story about Luca. He had very good content. And well, that's what I'm saying. It's a true thing. You can sell out and it can screw you up. It happens in music all the time. Metallica. All right, Nako saying they'd run Paul Revere ads if Lex ran ads. Yeah, don't even say that. Bro, you're not supposed to say his name in the chat. It should be banned. I don't know how you did that. You misspelled it. That's what it is. Yeah, I don't know what they would run, and I don't give a shit. And that's why I don't want that kind of fucking bullshit around my channel. I don't want to be associated with it. Like I said, in some ways, I'm a particular political stance, and I'm very anti-capitalist Why the fuck would I engage in such a capitalist activity? Is what I'm saying. Smooth saying Nuggets and Kings was wild, man. 7 lead changes in the last 2 minutes. Nuggets win. Yeah, I heard that Russell had a big time basket. DeMar had dunked on somebody at the end and stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. That's cool to hear. Carlos saying we got a good one in Grady. This guy is more than a shooter. I see him improving defensively as well. This guy tries. Yeah. You know, Grady is fantastic. Like, I love a lot of the moxie he's showing and the confidence, and he's doing some crazy stuff. And the other thing that's great about Grady is he's getting knocked around and he's not whining and complaining. You know, they gave Chris shit for complaining to Jenna and getting that technical and not getting back and allowing Chicago to score. There's times where Grady's getting hit out of the air, like I talked about with Chris earlier, and he's not missing a beat. He keeps on moving, and he's not whining and complaining. He's not doing that kind of stuff. Now, he may talk to the refs, and he may try and get some calls and talking to them. And he's seeing different guys do different things, whether it's Scotty and like, or, you know, Chris and what he did, or RJ, you know, but Grady's smart. And he learned this lesson early because we saw this happen before last year and a little bit earlier this year. Where Grady would get out of the play and fuck up, and we'd get a score put on us because he was complaining to the refs too much. So he learned this lesson, and he's keeping his head down, and he's keep on playing. So I give him a lot of credit for that. There's a time and a place to politic with the referees and tell them what's going on, and that's a dead ball. When the whistle is whistled and nobody's running up and down the court, that's the only time you should be talking to the refs. Don't be talking to them while it's active play, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Cool Cat saying, Lex, I think you're smart not to monetize. It seems those who have gotten in trouble with YouTube, NBA Chef gets shut down from YouTube a few times. You will have to adhere to the requirements. Yeah, fuck all this. I'd rather be small potatoes. I'd rather be an oasis in the middle of it all that you guys can find if you know, that little secret door down the alleyway behind that part of the town. And not a whole lot of people know. It's this secret little happy place. You know, in some ways, we know corporations will destroy and ruin everything. And they're probably going to ruin weed next. Marijuana is going to get destroyed by corporations. Oh, my God. It's horrible. How could you do that? Well, in some ways, we'll still be able to grow our own stuff. And by the way, David, that bag is empty. I finished that bag in 6 months. Yeah, that bag that you and Peter grew, that big, huge Harry Rosen bag that y'all brought me. Yeah, it's gone. I have smoked it since July. I got that bag from them on Canada Day, and it's empty as of this week. I can't believe that. It's so crazy, and I appreciate y'all not, helping me out with my weed budget for 6 months. But I'm gonna have to go back to the weed store for the first time in like half a year. Like tomorrow, I'll be going there tomorrow. Yeah. You know what? That's a really good point, Cool Cat. I don't like what's happened with Chev on YouTube because in some ways his presence has been diminished, partly because of it. And in some ways he's kind of left YouTube because of it in a lot of ways. And it's just not who it used to be. And that's what I'm saying. In some ways that I'm not going to get into this with y'all. Seriously, I'm not going to get into this with y'all. I'm deep enough in the water already with super chats and memberships, YouTube. And if you're not seeing profit increases from me every month, well, fuck you. I'm not playing your capitalistic game of unrealistic economic growth every quarterly period, you fucks. No, don't give me that corporate speech. In some ways, I'm not trying to keep stats like your bullshit. I don't even look at the fucking analytics for YouTube. I'm sure there's very good places where I could see and say, oh, this is where you turn the people off, Lex, because you start talking politics or you start doing this, and this is when they tune out. Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to nitpick myself. I don't want to filter myself. I don't want to second guess myself because I'm looking at exactly what people like and don't like on YouTube. That's not what this channel is. This channel is not trying to catch everybody and get millions of followers like Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has very much studied the algorithm and how he can manipulate it to get to the point where he's at with what he is. And some people say, well, he's a great businessman. Well, good for him. That's what his goals were. That's not what my goals are. My goals are very easy. It's to help the Raptors win their next championship by keeping Raptors fans positive and upbeat in dark times. And that's part of what I'm doing right now. That's right. That's right there. Cool Cat, that's a fantastic reasoning for why I shouldn't do it. And I'm going to give you a dunk for it. This may be a very strange dunk. People are going to get dunks for very good reasons this year coming up. Not like this year, this half-ass bullshit, getting the ball rack and just throwing basketballs every direction like this guy who used to do it No, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to have dunks for real good reason. Cool Cat's getting a good reason dunk because that's very good reasoning in what she's saying there. That's right. Smooth saying she will remain in Parliament, though. It's really a messy situation, though. What are you talking about? You're talking about the Freeland resignation. In some ways, I don't want to talk about this. In some ways, I don't care. Whatever's going to happen with the Liberal Party and the government right now is just going to happen. I support our prime minister. I know everybody else has turned on him and hates him, but there's a lot of corporate money that's been spent to make people's minds shape to hate Justin Trudeau just as much as they wanted people to hate Biden and Kamala. So I'm not going to get in the brainwashing machine with everybody else and just blanketly hate Justin. I think that the lockdown was good and smart, and a lot of freedom fighters are mad at Justin because they told them to stay home. Well, why aren't y'all mad at Trump? Because he did the same damn thing, didn't he, down south? So I'm just saying, look, the pandemic happened and people needed to stay home. And everybody's all freedom fighters and stuff like that. That's fine. Y'all go ahead and do that. But I think he was a just and right leader for what he did because he actually saved lives. And that's what a leader's supposed to do. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get in on this. If Justin's political career is going to be ending soon, so be it. I can't control that. But in some ways, I'm not going to be one of the ones dumping on him or saying that I hate him. In fact, I think that Justin Trudeau's done a good job as prime minister for the most part. I think that he's had scandals. I think he's not been perfect. I think he's been a corporate puppet, which I don't respect. But otherwise, he's much better than the alternative. Let's just put it that way. And hopefully next year, when we do any elections in Canada, people will have that sensible smartness to themselves to understand there are lessers of two evils. There are evils on both sides, sure. But telling you right now, there are the lesser of two evils. And people equating the liberals to the PC party, you're fucking crazy. Just like you were for thinking that Trump is better than the Democrats. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with that, Smooth. All I know is that the finance minister resigned yesterday. That's all I know. That's all I know. Stargate saying, I don't know how you guys still believe that getting a top draft pick, you will be automatic contenders. This team needs to learn how to win, period. No flag or ace is going to teach us how to win. You know, I agree with you, Stargate. But this is the thing. You got to have two things going at the same time. We're a young team rebuilding, and we're going to get time. Time is what we need. We just need more time and experience and learning and more years together. And boom, it will mature as a group. Now, if we're going along the way where we pick up a nice top draft pick to add to the talent pool that puts us up even higher, well, that'll help. But you're exactly right. There's no savior that's going to come in the draft that's just going to save the team and make them perfect. No, they have to, as a collective, get better and better and learn as a group and mature as a nucleus. And a lot of the teams in the NBA are on different schedules of how long they've been cooking and putting their team together to be together and have experience. Some teams have a lot of vets, and well, that's going to help them win in tough, important games because they know what they're doing. Well, we just got to learn what we're doing, and more time is the best thing that will help our team out of anything. It's not that the draft pick's going to save us. It's the time is going to save us because we're going to get better and better over time. That's what I'm saying. Stargate, I agree with you. And you know what? I'm going to give you a dunk for that because I agree exactly with your sentiment. Time is on our side. That is the thing we got to look at. It's time. It's not necessarily people coming to save us. It's time accrued playing together. 148 for Stargate on that one. There's a dunk. Boom goes a dynamite. Trevor's saying we have to stop talking about how many wins and losses and start focusing on the development of the players. Remember, we are a development year for all the players. Yes. Trevor's exactly right. You know, that's the thing that most people need to just start watching. You know, I think that the fans that went to Scotiabank Arena last night got entertained, that the game was exciting, and they got to get loud at the end and chant defense and cheer and see a big shot by Grady, a big shot by Jamal. You know, that in some ways it's the entertainment value of the game. You want to see a close game. You don't want to see a blowout. You don't want to see a game where it looks like the guys aren't trying or they're half-assing. You know, when you see a good game, it's competitive and it's close right down the end. Your NBA entertainment has been met. And that's all it is right now. In some ways, I'm enjoying the games, even if we don't win, because they've been fun to watch. And last night was a fun game to watch, even though we lost by one. Carlos saying, I don't believe you'll be an instant contender, but look at the Magic and OKC. Once you get that top talent, it gets a bit easier. We have everything we need, and adding a talent to that will go a long way. Yeah, it won't hurt. it won't hurt. I think that you guys are kind of apples to oranges right now. What you're saying, Stargate's just saying we shouldn't depend on this to help us because it's not a guarantee. And Kaloy's saying basically, well, it can definitely help. And I think that they're both valid points in the same area. I think they're both valid points. Seymour saying Frank the Tank Kaminsky can hoop, and I remember him from Wisconsin with Sam Decker. Yeah, he's a weird player. He's like a goofy, bony kind of American Poku. And, I remember him being on Milwaukee and a couple other teams. He was on Charlotte in recent years also. Yeah, he's a good NBA player. He's very long. He can shoot. And we'll have to see what happens. It'll be very weird to see him just add ingredients into this pot and see how he fits with the 905. This is why it's so hard for Jamal Shed to be the floor leader, is because the cast of characters around him is shifting constantly. We've seen the two holdovers from last year's 905 are gone now. Miles Burns and Kevin O'Banner are now both waived. I guess they got their time to try and do it. And, well, you know what? It's not going anywhere. I'm sorry. We got to open the spots up and bring in the next guys to see they excel and go above and beyond and get somewhere. It's really, really tough. Really, really tough. Miles Burns is a very talented guy. Kevin O'Banner is a solid locker room dude who does a lot of really good stuff around the team. But this is a business, sadly. And in some ways, there's certain ways that things go with time and how long you've been around. And, well, we got to get somebody else in new to be there. I wish Kevin Banner all the best, seriously, going forward. I mean, we've cut ties with 3 different guys from last year just recently, and we're trying new guys. And that's what you do. You revolve new people coming in, and you hope you hit on some that they stick, and they're like, wow, this guy's so good, he's got to stay. Maybe A.J. Lawson is that guy. Maybe A.J. does do really well. He was fantastic coming in and doing the pregame interview with Kayla Gray. AJ is saying, like, I cried this morning when I knew I was coming to Scotiabank Arena to play for the Raptors today. That is beautiful, man. I mean, to me, as a longtime Raptors fan, like a lot of y'all are for 30 years now, hearing a young man say that he dreamed of playing for the Raptors and him getting his fulfilled dream, it gets real emotional for me too. And that's why I love this kind of thing. It's like, look, it just hits harder when you dream of playing for a team like the Raptors because you grew up in Toronto and you actually finally get to do it. And this is the crazy thing. I didn't realize this till yesterday. AJ Lawson's known RJ Barrett since the 3rd grade, that they've been around each other in school for their whole lives. So in some ways, AJ and RJ are very tight, just like Jonathan and Scotty are. They're not exactly best friends like Scotty and J-Mo, but the ties that bind RJ and AJ go back just as far. And there is a lot of affinity. In fact, RJ was the first guy who talked to AJ after he got traded out of the team, that he was the one texting him. He's like, oh, now you're coming up. This is a really good thing. It's good for RJ and it's great for AJ and it's great for our city. So I love that kind of stuff. When we get a player who really wants to be here because he dreamed of it as a kid, that just shows that we're 30 years in. And that we're at this point where there are going to be more kids like this. You don't think SGA ever had this dream? I bet you he did. I bet you he had the same dream that AJ Lawson, Kelly Olynyk, and RJ Barrett all have had. That's right. That's right. It's going to be interesting. We'll have to see. Wayne saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. I wanted to go negative on some players, but it's better to highlight that incorporating players is difficult. Players coming back have to work themselves in. Expect more of the same. I like this. In some ways, he wanted to go negative, but he's holding his tongue. And he's just going to give them a little bit of a leash and understanding that, you know what, if you've been out for a little while, it's going to take a little bit of time to come back. I think he wanted to go after Kelly. I'm going to guess he wanted to go after Kelly. And maybe a little bit like Trevor was going after him last night, which was all rightfully so. I mean, I was saying it too. Kelly looked so fucking slow last night. He really did. He looked very, very slow. Let's see. Smooth saying, rest in peace, Janice Tima. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe I'll do a little quick research on here so that I can understand who you're talking about real quick. And who is that? Giannis. Oh, it's a. No, not now. I don't need that. He's a Latvian basketball player. Oh man, he was very young. He was only 32. He died in Moscow, and he's from Latvia. Yikes! Like I've never heard of this guy. Did he even come to the NBA? He looks like he's just a European player. Played very long time. Mostly in Latvia, it looks like, and around Russia and Greece. What happened to him? His death by suicide is what they think it was. They found him dead this morning. 32 years old. They found him in the entrance of a high-rise building in the center of Moscow. Police stated they presumed Tima's death to be suicide and no criminal leads were being pursued. All right, first of all, the place of death gives me so many question marks. In some ways, we know that fucking country's corrupt and all messed up, and there's like political assassinations all the time. We saw how they treated Brittany. Well, man, this seems fishy as hell. It did say that he just had a divorce. I did not know who this person was until 5 minutes ago, Smooth. Yeah, rest in peace. And this looks really dubious. Yikes. They're saying his mistress is a suspect. That's interesting. So he married this woman, Anna Sadakova, who's a Ukrainian singer and actress and television presenter. And he got divorced. You know, I don't know. In some ways, this is a story that I don't know anything about. I'm discovering it right now, so I will not speculate on this in any kind of way. Although I'll say the setting is very fishy to me. Anything that happens in Moscow, you should be looking at with some sort of watch out for Putin kind of bullshit. As far as Putin will get people killed just out of the blue because he's a dictator. He's messed up. He'll jail people that he doesn't like, and he murders people too. He poisons them. So who knows? Stargate saying at Trevor, yes, but how does one ultimately quantify development? Last I checked, development also includes learning how to win, doing the right things to win. It's not just individual oriented. Yeah. All right. Let me try and answer this in the right way for Stargate. You know, development and getting better is losing and failing just as much as it's winning and succeeding. And in some ways, you got to learn what not to do sometimes first before you get real good. And there's a lot of what not to do going on with these young guys still. I mean, we saw Grady step on the boundary line last night with a careless turnover. Now he knows this. He knows this from Kansas. He knows from being a very smart young man and playing basketball for most of his life, the boundary lines. He knows all this stuff. But in some ways, you really got to learn that the lines, and the refs will call this on you if you do step on the boundary line and you're out when you're setting up for a three. So that's development right there. Even though Grady stepped out of bounds and lost us the ball at one point when Jenna Schroeder blew the whistle. So you know, that's what we got to understand. It's all development. The losing, the injuries, the getting along with each other as teammates and learning that how stuff, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. The failure is just as important as the success. And that's what I say about this right there. Yeah. Learning how to win comes through failure. That's part of it right there. Wayne's saying Grady Dick is a superstar. When I look at Oshai and his reluctance to be extra aggressive, it's frustrating. Total opposite of Grady. Oshai has a bigger build than Grady, but not the aggression. I think this is, once again, this isn't fair to Abaji because in some ways the expectations are very different for the two of them. Got to understand Grady is a top level shooter and he's very good. Like, I love how Grady hits the front of the rim and he gets the shooter's bounce up and over it. That's a very, very good thing. Like, even if he's a little bit short on his shot, he knows that if he spins the ball the right way and it hits the front of the rim, it's going to come up and fall through still. And that is just a very high aptitude. Now, Oshai is more of a set shooter. He's done very good from the corner threes this year, but it's just not the same. You got to understand the player builds are very different and what they do is very different. Now, I would argue that Oshai is very aggressive, that you may be thinking he's not, but he is. He's doing some of the stuff that RJ does, where he goes to the basket and lays it up over people with strength and also jumping very high. You know, he's not the tallest guy, but he's able to score on 7-footers near the basket. And we even saw him trying to throw it down on Vucevic last night with a very aggressive attack at the rim where Vucevic pushed him and he didn't finish the dunk. But that would have been a poster right there. That would have been a poster right there. So I don't know. I don't agree with this exactly. I don't think Oshai is reluctant to be aggressive. He's been very aggressive this year. In fact, he's been way more aggressive this year than he was last year. Last year, I could say maybe he was pussyfooting around a little bit out there. But this year, no, he's taking it to them and even taking it to his own teammates by dunking on Jakob Poeltl in the Miami game. That was crazy right there. Yeah. You know, Oshai is stronger and bigger, and he does get away with doing more. Grady has to be more slinky and sneaky through like Pascal did when he played for us, for him and what he's going to do. Now, I don't know how big Grady's ever going to get. In some ways, it's going to be what it is going to be, but maybe he gets stronger and able to do more. Probably will be. But yeah, I don't know. The apples to oranges, they're totally different kind of players. And in some ways, the stuff that Oshai is doing aggressively is on defense and attacking the rim and getting up and down the court in transition. And that's the stuff that I want from him, and not necessarily the trying to score a whole lot. Seymour saying, I hope Toronto Tempo draft Juju Watkins. Please, basketball gods, get us off on the right foot. Yeah, I don't know the timing of her entry into the WNBA and if it's around when we're going to be able to get there. The other thing that you got to worry about, Seymour, whether this is going to be likely or not, is she going to be the number one pick? Well, we're not going to have the number one pick because the Toronto Tempo will not be allowed to pick the number one pick. I think the best we could probably do is third or fourth, the way that they're doing it with the expansion of the Golden State Valkyries right now. So they won't let us get the first pick. And if Juju Watkins is the best player coming out in her draft, well, we're not going to have a chance to get her. So think about this logically. And if it's realistic, it may not be realistic. And even if you're praying, Stargate saying it, Wayne, I agree. However, you can't get aggressive if you don't get the ball and get the ball in appropriate circumstances within the offense to maximize his particular skills. I'm going to say this right now. Part of it is that Oshai is a full court offensive player, kind of like Davion. And O'Grady is good in both, but he can play better in a half court set because he's better at getting his own shot when the defense is settled. Oshai is not as good in a half court set at doing the things that he can do. Now, if he gets a defender on him that he can get around and attack the rim, he'll do it. But for the most part, he's a better offensive player in transition and when things are opened up. You see how he runs the court and he finishes, and he often finishes with people hanging around him and stuff like that. So it's partly that. Y'all need to understand that Grady's a better half court offensive player. And this is the big thing that y'all are talking about right here. Kareem saying we're officially one injury away from being one injury away. All right, this is an old school way to get a dunk by making me laugh with something just nonsense and weird. So yeah, Kareem, you can get a dunk for this. Let's see how close you are to 500 now. Because honestly, you're getting there, and we don't have much time. You're on the clock, bro. So, all right, I'm going to give you a 5-pointer because that's what I've been giving everybody today. A 493 is where you're at. So you need 7 more dunks to get to your goal. I was supposed to give you a dunk for the other day, so I'm going to give you 2 real quick. So you're 495 because you did have a funny that I was supposed to add to you from the 905 chat the other day. So I'll add it now. I forgot to do it, so it's there. Yeah, let's see. Carlos saying Oshai doing mid-range yesterday was good to see. Yeah, I want y'all to start looking at Oshai like OG. Really. Like, think about OG and where he's at in his career. Oshai is in his 3rd year, right? And think about OG where he was in his 3rd year of his career. And that's what y'all need to think about. Is that in some ways the thing with Oshai that matters is defensive. I don't care about his offensive game. Y'all can be like, I need him to score more. I need him to do this. I need to do that. I don't care about that. I think that everything he does naturally through transition and the corner threes is fantastic. But him trying to score or find his own offense more and more, that may be a slippery slope we don't want to go down. In some ways, Oshai Agbaji is undersized for his position. And the best way that he can score is in the natural flow of the game and what's presented to him. Last year, they tried to force his offense in certain ways, and it was a failure. He looked horrible last year. In fact, he looked bad at Summer League because of it too. And, well, we've stopped trying to force him into the offense in certain ways, and we let it flow around him. And then when it lands on him, he takes the open 3. When it lands on him, because he's running the court with Davion Mitchell, and Davion throws it over his back, and Oshai's behind him, throwing it down on them. That's the game flow coming to him. But trying to set up Oshai in an unnatural way in the game, we tried that last year and failed left and right, and he was not playing well. So I'd say, you guys, what you're wishing for with Agbaji may not be necessary. We've got a lot of good offensive weapons on our team, and as long as he's got a defensive emphasis like Anunoby, that's all that I want from him, honestly. You got to be good at finishing on the fast break and running all the way down the court. Get some rebounds, get some steals, and hit some corner threes. I'm good. I'm good with all that. I don't know what you guys want from him. I don't know what you want from him. Kareem saying it's getting exhausting as a fan, wondering what if we were fully healthy. We needed this to be a development year. These injuries keep setting us back from the product we know we have. I think that the injuries are actually helpful because they've thrown the rookies into the fire and they have to get better faster. So it's like the injuries in some ways, they're great. They're great. I mean, listen, we can't change anything. What could have been, we can't live our lives in our own everyday lives like that or on the court. It is what it is. Jakob did the split last night. He's going to have a groin injury. He may miss some games, and we can't change that. So we got to accept life on life's terms and make the best of it. What was that? We'll do another Police song. When the world is running down, you make the best of what's still around. That's right. And I think that may even be like, what album is that? That's Zenyatta Mandata, I think. Yeah. That's a really great statement, because in some ways the world may be running down in certain ways. And in some ways, you got to make the best of what's still around. And well, if you're losing players to injury, you got to make the best of what's still around. Next man up. And there is development and good things that are derived from that, because guys get opportunities that they wouldn't have got if everybody had been healthy. So we got to just take it as it is, as it comes, and do the best that we can at each juncture. That's what I say on that. Yeah. Trevor's saying Kelly looked like he doesn't belong. He's too slow. Even as a bench player, he does not fit. Yeah, I don't go into saying that. Listen, if anything, he can be like Garrett Temple and be a Professor Emeritus, sitting on the bench and like doling out advice and teaching them. Once again, Kelly Olynyk could teach people how to flop. Kelly Olynyk can teach people dirty shit. Kelly Olynyk can teach the scout on all kinds of players in this league to guys just sitting next to them on the bench. Yeah, I've been in this league for so many years, and I know all about Joel. Yeah, I know all about Giannis. I know all about Nikola Vucevic. That's part of it right there, is that he's very helpful in some of the Garrett Temple ways, as a leader, as a guide, as something. And I honestly, I think that, this is one game, guys. We had Kelly come back the first game, and he was perfect. He played a perfect game his first game back from injury. Perfect. He had an absolutely perfect game. He had one of the most perfect games anybody's had this whole entire year. He didn't miss a single damn shot. So there's going to be a range of performance with Olynyk. And honestly, y'all, come on, man. This is our Captain Canada. This is a guy we watch double duty on now, because he plays for our national team and for our team here in Toronto. And I'm not comfortable with throwing him under the bus as much as y'all are, just because of one bad night last night, and he does look slow. I'll admit he does look slow, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a place in the NBA. Trust me. And I like him on our team. So I'm not going to throw him under the bus like you guys are. I'm not. Stargate saying, I like Darko. I really do. However, I need to start seeing some visual development on his part as well, and not just the players. I think you get that. What do you mean? Listen, once again, these guys are not going to be perfect, whether it's the coach also. He's going to make mistakes. He's not going to have exactly everything right. It's such a fast-paced occupation, and things are changing so fast. And let's not get it twisted. Darko has all kinds of experience in all different kind of basketball situations at different levels, and he understands the protocol and different things. Now, maybe he had some ideas that didn't work out. Coaches have to experiment with rotations and plays and ideas about what they want to do, and sometimes they fail. Sometimes they just fail. He could have, in theory, thought, Jonathan can take this. He can handle Vucevic. I'm going to put this on his plate, and he can handle this. He'll do a good job. We've seen him do very good job on different people like Luka Doncic recently. He did a really good job on Luka, but that's a different guarding assignment. It's not the big part of it. It's more like be long and just make him hard for him to shoot and don't foul him. He did some really good defensive stuff against smaller people, but against a big person, he can't guard them correctly. And that's what Vucevic showed him last night. So maybe because Mobo's been so good on defense with certain people recently, like he didn't jump and take the bait on that one fake in the Miami game with Jimmy Butler, that showed he's like, well, he's doing really good defensively. Well, he can't do this still, play the bigs like this. And if he gets bigger and stronger, maybe he can do like Achua and hold down Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic in certain ways. But last night, Vucevic had his number. Last night, he had his number. That's just how it is. And that's a failed decision by Darko. But once again, we're going to fail and succeed in different levels. The coach also. And now you're going to tell me where are the parameters of where you're seeing some visual development with Darko? Well, it's harder to see in some ways with the coaches. But you know what? I will say this. Darko's not a stubborn person. He's very open to criticism from different people around him. And I'll bet you even takes criticism from his players. And that's not totally common in the NBA. His coaches will come to him and tell him, yeah, we should have done this, because he's made it very clear he's not above reproach. He will listen to feedback and he will change as needed in these kind of ways. So, I mean, some of it's hard to gauge. I think that the fact that he called so many turnover timeouts yesterday to stop the bleeding with the Bulls just running us off the court was sad, but it also shows that he's engaged and he's really trying to stay on top of it, even if his players are not coming correctly to the game and put in the effort. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. It's a very difficult, fast-paced job where you may have to make a million decisions all at once. Like, it's crazy. Darko said after the game, he didn't even see Jakob get hurt until afterwards when he saw the highlight. And he's like, I don't even know what happened to him. That's how crazy it is out there. There's so much going on. He didn't even see his big center get hurt in the game. Some people will say, well, that means he's not paying attention. No, it could very well mean he was arguing for a call with the referee, or he was doing some other stuff with a teammate of Jakob's trying to get them organized or trying to play a call or something. And that's why he didn't see. It's very tough. There's a lot of distractions out there for a coach, whether it's this crowd sitting right behind you, maybe talking a little crazy shit. Nick Nurse used to have to say all the time that he blocks everybody out, and he really has tunnel vision and tunnel ears for just the things that pertain to what he's trying to do as the coach. And that can be tough in a very loud arena with a lot going on all at once, very distracting. And you can have a moment, like if a coach gets in a moment where they just kind of reflect or daydream for a second, that could be deadly for something on the court, on the court. As far as they're like all of a sudden they're distracted. If you have ADHD, you can't be a coach because you can't stay focused enough in that crazy ass environment with so many things happening all at once and trying to watch everything all at once. That's really, really tough. Trust me, as a person who's coached before, it is really hard to coach. Really, really hard to coach because you're trying to control 5 people out there, and they're their own people, and you have no idea if they're going to do exactly what you say you want them to do. That's what I'm saying. Wayne's saying at Stargate, yeah, I concur. Oshai still got attacked when he gets those opportunities. Now, if he has an open lane, he has a bigger defender on him that he can go around with speed. Yes. And he did do that with Vucevic at one point. He got switched to Vucevic, and he took it to the rim, and Vucevic fouled him. So there's recognition in what y'all are saying. It is happening. It's just the opportunities may not be very common because he's not one of the doted on offensive players that's going to get the ball a lot. He's kind of more a spot shooter when we need somebody in the corner, or he may get the ball and he may have it in the rotation at some point where he can recognize that he can beat a big like Vucevic. So it's just like that. Now let's see. Wayne saying I've had a groin strain from sports, 7 days max, precautionary if longer. There you go. There you go. I'm just saying, and it didn't look as bad as Siakam's. If we remember Siakam's, he really split and tore something. It could very well be that Yak just kind of like pulled his groin, and there's nothing torn. That's the big difference. Siakam's injury in Dallas, he actually tore his groin. And I don't think Yak tore his groin last night. If he tore his groin, he probably wouldn't have been able to walk off on his own like he did last night. So we'll just say that. All right, Trevor wants me to do the classic card. I'm over 2 hours, and I still haven't done my Instagram stories either. It's just a very busy day, a lot to take care of, a lot to talk about. All right, here we go. Here's a classic card. It's a mosaic, guys. So it's not very classic. Now, let's see. 1027 is what you got there. So we're about an hour behind on the stream today. All right, look, it's very shiny, and it's all over the place. Maybe that's too easy. This guy has a very distinctive hairline. This may be too easy because of the hair. Joe Ingles. That's who Nins thinks this is. Joe Ingles. Yeah, that is a Jazz jersey, I believe, but that is not Joe Ingles. I like that you called him Ho Ingles first. Yeah, he's Australian Nick Nurse. Good day, mate. No mid-range today, please, sir. No, sir. No mid-range, please. Joe Ingles, the Australian Nick Nurse. No, it's not Joe Ingles. It's not Joe Ingles. If you see a little bit closer, this is a guy who's been involved in trades a lot in the last year or so. So this guy's been passed around a little bit in the last year. He's not on the Jazz anymore, that's for sure, even though his card here is on the Jazz. So who is this, y'all? Thank you for the guess, Nins. Even if it is incorrect, I'll bring it up even closer. That's too easy right there. He kind of looks like the coach of Memphis, doesn't he? Yeah, that's right. It's Bogdan Bogdanovic. That is exactly right. And it's Bojan Bogdanovic. But yeah, I'm only too technical about this. I know there's 2 guys in the league that have almost the same name like this. But yeah, we'll give it to Carlo. and we'll say it's about we'll say it's 100. He's a current player, and honestly, everybody should know who that face is. That forehead is pretty distinguishable. Of course, he got traded to the Knicks. Didn't work out, and he's gotten traded again already out of the Knicks. So he's not even on the Knicks anymore. He was part of around that whole flurry of activity with their trades. Didn't he get traded to Minnesota with them? No, he didn't get traded there. I don't remember where he went. In some ways, I don't care. So yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic, and we'll put in Carlo JS, and we'll just do 100. It's just 100 on this one, Carlo. No offense. It's just because he's current and stuff like that. Yeah. Thanks for participating in the classic card of the day, guys. Yeah. All right, let's see. Fiercely saying, I think yesterday was the most dribbling I saw from Jakob. He's dribbled so much this year. Like, this is crazy. Like, he brings the ball up the court all the time, and it's kind of funny. He's not horrible at it, and they haven't really gotten burned for it either, which is really kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Yak's awesome. I just wish him healing vibes and coming back soon as possible. Stargate saying, sometimes at the start of the games, our team looks like they don't know their opponents. Every game, our players need to know the strengths, weaknesses, and styles of every single player of the other team. I completely agree about this. This used to be what half the NBA was just you scout your opponents and you really like use mismatches and your information about all that. But the NBA players don't care about this or something. I don't even know if it's the coaches or something. I don't know what it is. Why are we not keying on this kind of stuff more often in the NBA anymore? Maybe they do, and it just doesn't matter because they're not showing it in certain ways or executing on it. I have no idea exactly why. This mystifies me all the time still. Why aren't we not using scouting reports? Why are we not taking it to our opposition on the other side that's our counterpart and saying, you know what, RJ, if you're going up against Lonzo Ball, you got to outscore him and outdo this and outdo that. And then, boom, we win. If we have enough of our players win their one-on-one matchups against whoever their counterpart is on the other side, we win. That's the way that NBA used to be played, is like, all right, you got to beat them in the center position, Jakob. You got to go out there and be better than Nikola. You know, I don't understand why they don't do this either, Stargate. You're exactly right. I think it's symptomatic of the very bad preparation for young players coming to the league at this point, that they're not thinking cerebrally as players anymore. They're just doing half-ass shit like dribble, shoot a three. It's part of that. I think that's part of it. Fiercely saying, RJ scoring machine, but yesterday also a turnover machine. Yes. And in some ways, these are the limits of RJ as a point guard, that he's passing into traffic where the other team is picking it off or not. He's not passing it in ways that are conducive for his teammate to catch it cleanly and execute. And that's half of the pass. You got to read the pass to be successful, not just because it's there. If you see a pass there, don't just throw it because it's there. You need to a split second assess it if it's smart to do at that moment, because it just as much as there's shot selection, there's pass selection. You got to have shot selection to understand what's a good shot and a bad shot, high percentage, low percentage wise. Well, you need to do the same thing for passes. How high percentage is this going to be a successful pass? The one pass that pissed me off with Kelly last night was the one where he's looking away and they stole it and ran the ball down the court right when somebody was passing it to him. Now, was that his teammate's fault? Probably not, because it looked like an easy pass that Davion threw to him. It's just that Kelly was looking the other way at that split second, and the other guy ran in and seagulled it and ran it down. Kobe White, I bet. I think it was Kobe White. But yeah, that's the thing. In some ways, when you pass it, you can't just pass it because you see the pass, Scotty, RJ, or whoever. You need to make sure your teammate's looking at you and ready for the pass, and also that the defenders aren't around to mess it up also. There was that one little play that Grady and Jakob did, that give and go, that was so awesome. It was so basic. It's like Grady gave Jakob the ball and immediately cut, and Jakob just bounced past it to him, an easy layup. That was so beautiful. That is good passing. That is good passing right there. That's what I'm saying. Carlos said we need IQ Scotty back so bad. Yeah, I think we need those guys back for sure. For sure. They're our two best point guards probably. Although, you know, maybe Jamal is a better point guard than Scotty. I don't know. IQ's our best point guard. And maybe, you know, we need more real point guards. RJ's doing great. I don't have any problem with him doing this stuff. In some ways, he's developing himself as a backup point guard. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Wayne saying RJ is not as efficient as the point guard, but I don't agree with Davion starting. I know you prefer Davion, but we need positive starts, which he doesn't provide. Davion needs to be on a leash, still developing. I just think that he adds such a defensive intensity that, in particularly with Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, who are absolutely up and down players that attack the rim and they are good at 3-point shooting, the shadow of Davion being around them, following them around, would have really hindered them more. That in some ways, if we're looking at the matchup, one of their main weapons is Kobe White. And Kobe White is a very dangerous offensive player. So why not put the blanket that Davion Mitchell is on him? Even if Davion is a liability on the offensive end, but he isn't really, because he will take the three and make it to an extent. I think that's where the gold was to be mine, is slowing down Kobe White, because he was a big, huge problem for us last night on the down low. Is part of it. Yeah. Slug saying, you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Good on you for standing on your laurels. I appreciate that, Slug DZ. I mean, seriously, somebody's got to not be a sellout in this forever, even more and more increasingly a sellout fucking world. Seriously. Like, where do we fucking have our point in time where we say enough is enough? Are we going to really live a dystopian future under corporate overlords? Because that's where we're going. They're consolidating power with this cabinet that Trump is building of billionaires. And you think that you have the fox running the hen house, that the chickens will have good health? No, they're going to figure out even more ways to change the rules, Milton Bradley, and make the rules funnel more and more income and money that should be for our lives to live off of to their pocketbooks that they don't even need. That's why it's sociopathic billionaires and the way they're acting. I look at ESPN and their website this morning, and there's a big, huge article at the top talking about how Ryan Smith is a great billionaire. That is total corporate bullshit propaganda being put out, because there's a class war developing in this world right now. And in some ways, people are starting to wake up that billionaires in the top are the problem, and they want to put out good PR. So they put out a whole story about Captain Cool Guy, Ryan Smith, 45-year-old owner of the Utah Jazz, and how he's such a great billionaire and you should like him. It's part of the mythologizing people like Elon Musk and trying to make them seem like they're such crazy, amazing people. No, these are fuck faces. They're fucking up this world. And I don't care if Ryan Smith's a cool skateboard kind of dude. There's some fucked up bullshit about him too and how he made his money, I'm sure. And in some ways, if he's so great and so billionaire, why don't you feed people? Why don't you house them? Why don't you do more of that? And maybe not even put it on blast. Just start fixing some social problems, you fucks that are collecting all the hard work money off of the backs of people by screwing them over, by taking benefits, by fucking doing all kinds of shady ass shit with your corporate fucking bullshit. I'm saying, seriously, at some point we're going to have to take a stand. And they keep us divided so we can't get organized. Well, that's how they keep us under them. And in some ways, the people knew the power the masses have, that we could upend this whole fucking thing. We may have to at some point, but let's not make it so too late that the police are used on us like stormtroopers in Star Wars, or that there's drones in the air shooting U.S. citizens because the military is coming out to control population, the working class that is out there that is not conforming to what the billionaires want them to do. They scare them by shooting a CEO in the street. And now all of a sudden people are trying to put out a whole bunch of stuff about how the billionaires are good people and all this kind of stuff. Bullshit. They're scared. And in some ways they're trying to put out new pub to try and make this more humanistic about them. Well, motherfuckers, you need to be humanistic for the millions of people you subject. And fuck being humanistic to you, you greedy pieces of shit, is what I'll say right there. Slug DZ, salute to you. And yeah, I'm going to stand for something. That's right. Carlos saying, having an anti-capitalist Raptors live podcast that does a live every 9:30 is really cool. See, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, thank you, YouTube, for giving me the vehicle to do this. Because honestly, there needs to be more people like me out there, more and more, that ain't selling out like this. I mean, seriously, I love Leo Routins. I can tell in his heart it hurts him, the direction that things are going with this FanDuel and the fucking bullshit around the league and all this stuff. And it was like, what has happened? The beautiful game that I used to play as a kid from Kiel. You know, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, the direction that the world's going, there needs more canaries in the coal mine like me actually fucking talking about it in a real way and understanding the whole problem right here is not immigrants, it's not trans people, it's not other end people that are of the same general area. It's those people right up above that have seen incredible and crazy percentage increases of their wealth in the last 10 years. It is insane the amount of money Jeff Bezos is making right now. In fact, I saw something that said that if Jeff Bezos gave every person in this world $1 billion, he'd still have like $30 billion himself. You know, this is the thing. These sociopaths could solve world hunger. They could house every single fucking person in this world, but they don't because they're greedy. They could have been saints. They could be Saint David, but they're too busy fucking living their own little childish dreams and wanting to go to Mars and fucking moving bridges and doing stupid ass shit. Fucking Bezos. Fuck you, Amazon. Yeah. And I'm just going to say that because seriously, at what point are we going to say enough is enough? And the wealth accumulation of the 1% at the very top is fucking immoral, is what I'm saying right now. Because it is. It's immoral in a way. There's a lot of people that are getting screwed over on their paychecks in different ways, and that money gets funneled up. And they're just trying to racket it even more. And you think that they're going to put them in charge down south, that Trump is going to help the common man? No, he's not. He's going to enrich his friends that all did favors for him to help him get elected, and he's going to screw over everybody else. That's just the damn truth. And I'll drop this mic, but it's expensive. I like it. Yeah, there you go. Fiercely saying, agreed with Carlo. I used to watch Luca Rosano, but when his content switched to trading rumors, clickbaiting, negative stances, I unsubscribed real quick. I used to watch him too. In fact, I used to enjoy watching Luca do live streams during the game and hearing what he had to say during the game. Even, you know, there's different things, but that's what I'm saying. It's a slippery slope. And I don't want to compromise who I am and my ideals. And in some ways, maybe I'll be a dinosaur and I'll go extinct. And it'll just be this world of just fucking little corporate puppets all over the place. And y'all be like, damn, I wish we did still have the Raptor Freak around, because those were the good old days, because he was a real voice in a world that was ever increasingly becoming more AI and more corporate. I mean, there you go, right there. Anako saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone looking to make money off of talking about Raptors, but if Lex is here for the love of the game, he should do it for the love of the game. Gerald, you're confusing things. Listen, I've once again said this. All right. In some ways, you can look at it that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting to run YouTube channels. It's my life. I want to make my own rules for myself. And as Slug Deezy says, he likes somebody who's standing for what they mean and what they say. You know, I'd say in some ways it's hypocritical, some of the stuff that some of the content makers do. It's hypocritical in some ways, some of the ways that the press are towards the team. There's a lot of hypocritical stuff. And I may be a hypocrite in some ways, for sure. I may be. I'm not perfect. I'll admit that. But I'm not a hypocrite on this issue. Let's just put it that way. I'm not on this one. And, you know, it's for the passion and love for the team. And in some ways, you know, Gerald, that's a weird way of putting it. But, yeah, I don't see any problem with Raptors Digest wanting to do that. And if people want to watch people do that kind of stuff with ads and stuff like that, you go ahead. That's your choice. Free country. Do what you want to do. That's right. Cool Cat saying all that personal weed growing hurting my stock investments. That's right. I want to get out there and grow more cannabis for myself so I don't have to buy any corporate cannabis from the Ontario government or anybody. I want it from David and Peter. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. And I don't know if they have any more bags of weed laying around. Maybe they do. It's so weird. They brought it to me. I was like, what is this? This is so weird, man. So, yeah, just so y'all know, I smoked all of it, and it did not go to waste, Peter Saborin. There you go. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Losing is painful, but the lessons learned are beneficial. Always give 100% and learn from any loss experience. Boom goes the dynamite. And I like that. I like that words of wisdom. Very apropos to our game last night, Randolph. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the rest of the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. They didn't give 100% for the whole game, and that's part of why they lost. And that's a lesson learned right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying, big game tonight. OKC and the Bucks. It's going to be good. Yeah, finals of the NBA Cup. Let's go, SGA. Let's go, Oklahoma City. Let's get that cup win. Get that MVP for SGA, and let's get him the MVP for the whole entire season by the end of it, too. Now, I'm definitely rooting for our Oklahoma City Thunder and Lou Dort and SGA. That's right. Impa is saying, salute, freaks. Listening to the playback, I agree 100%, Lex. How do you not put in size when Yak goes down? Inexcusable, in my opinion. Head scratcher, Darko. I think that he just has a very high opinion of Mobo right now and his capabilities. And well, we kind of saw the limits of his capabilities. And like I said earlier, I think that Mobo can guard people like Doncic and Butler. They're smaller than him with his long arms and really quick and being around them. But the big guys are still something that he cannot be the defensive presence against. And we just need him. He may be able to do it in like a couple years when he's stronger, savvier, and smarter with position in his body and strength, but it's not right now. It's not right now. There was one point, though, he got out of the way of Vucevic and he fell on his ass. That was cool. I like that. Jonathan got out of the way and Vucevic fell back. Whoa, and he wanted a foul, but he didn't get one. That was hilarious. Yeah, I'm not going to get mad at Darko about this because, once again, he's learning too, and maybe he put too much on the plate for Jonathan. He learned something. We'll have to see. If he does this mistake again, then maybe I'll be like, Darko, you learned this in the Chicago game about playing Jonathan against true centers. And yeah, that's it right there. Trevor J bringing up that they have announced on the WNBA that they will be playing the first ever regular season WNBA game in Canada. And this will be happening in Vancouver next season in August. It'll be August 15th, I believe. Vancouver's going to get the WNBA season game. It's not opening game. It's not for the opening season. It's just the first ever game in Canada ever. The season will start way before that. It's a game in the middle of the season. And it'll be the Seattle Storm as the home team, of course, just jump over the border. And I forget what the other team is. I think it's Atlanta or something like that. But yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Trevor. And in fact, let's go do the Instagram stories since this is kind of on there. Grady showing off that big dunk he had in the game last night. He really did look cool hanging from the rim in this picture. And he's kind of got like, who is that underneath him? It's got Giddy, his nuts on Giddy's head. That's kind of funny. If y'all look at it, Grady's Instagram story, you can see Grady. And the optical illusion looks like his nuts are sitting on Australian Josh Giddey's head. Oh, I'm going to love that one. There's a little heart for you, Grady. There he is shooting buckets before the game, straight buckets, and he's unconscious. He can miss all of his three-pointers in the first half, and he's going to keep shooting in the fourth, and he'll make them when it counts later. And I love that. You keep shooting, Grady. Have that confidence forever, my guy. Please have that confidence forever. Yeah, and there's one of his moves where he spinned around, and he laid it up through traffic and fell down. That probably should have been a foul, but they didn't call it. Somebody hit him with his body there. That's what I'm saying. There's some fouls they're not calling. JYD is celebrating the Hoya family. Somebody from Georgetown, something on there. I do Junkyard Dog sometimes. Here we go. Battle is celebrating a victory for the Minnesota Vikings once again, 30-12. Of course, Battle was a scratch yesterday because he has an ankle sprain. Yeah, he could have been helpful last night. In some ways, we could have seen Jamison Battle eat up some of the minutes. I think the announce crew was saying that Chris Boucher got Jamison's minutes last night. And that is kind of true because Jamison's the three-point shooter and Chris is too. But yeah, I missed Battle in the last couple games for 905 and the Raptors, as Jamison Battle's a great three-point threat. Lloyd has got some game on blast. Who is these teams? I don't even know. They don't look like they're college teams or something. Is this intramural? I don't know. This is weird. I don't know where this footage is from, Lloyd. It looks like a very small crowd wherever they are. I don't know what league that is. Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong with Santa before the game. Great to see Santa tonight. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see Santa sitting with Nav. But yeah, he's hamming up for the camera and stuff like that. But what the hell was all that water? Seriously, Santa. Did you have like a weird thing where you flew your sleigh into the ocean and you had a bunch of water in your boot? And when you came and sat down with Nat Bhatia, you dumped it out on the side of the court on the FanDuel ad. Is that what happened? Seriously, why the fuck was it so wet down at your end of the court? Is it just that you're wet like that? He's got that drip. Is that Santa drip dripping all over the court and making it wet out there? Like, what the fuck happened with the court at that moment? Mark Lindsay, what happened? Was there a pregnant woman sitting near them and her water broke? What the fuck happened with the water on the court last night? Oh my gosh, I'm wondering about that. It's like I was joking. It's like the great speaker fire of Scotiabank Arena. Well, the great flood of Scotiabank Arena last night. It seems like they got like a fisherman's friend ad on here for Matt Devlin. The fisherman's friend. He's like, he needs this just to talk. And then they're doing their TikToks before the game still. Kayla, Jack, and Matt are getting better. They're more synchronized with each other because Kayla Gray's got them becoming TikTok stars. And they look goofy. They're really goofy. But Matt Devlin does have some moves. He really, really does have some moves. And the TikTok thing with Kayla Gray, it's a nice new thing y'all are doing. Keep going. It's fun. It's fun. I thought it was funny last night when Jack started riffing on Santa Claus for a little while there when they were cleaning up the flood. And I was like, oh, man, we're going to get a Ron Jeremy moment right here. Is Jack going to say something out of pocket because he's going off script because he has to fill time because this game is in a stoppage, just like the speaker fire. But no, Jack was very smart. In some ways, he got close to some stuff, talking about Santa and Santa's life in the North Pole. Jack Armstrong, you're amazing. I love you, man. And I was kind of hoping you guys were going to put Chuck Swirsky on blast last night. Seriously, he is a part of our 30th anniversary Raptors MLSE. And Chuck Swirsky being in the house last night to call the game for the Bulls, y'all needed to put him on blast. Maybe they did in the commercial break. I didn't see it. But we didn't see anything about Chuck Swirsky on the broadcast last night. It could very well be it's because of TSN. And I think that Chuck worked for Rogers back when he was on the Fan 590 and Sportsnet. So it could very well be it wasn't in-house for their alumni with their corporation, that they wouldn't give kudos to the longtime voice of the Raptors before Matt Devlin while he's in the house as part of our 30th anniversary. If y'all were at the game and you saw anything that they did for Chuck Swirsky in honor of the 30th anniversary of the Raptors season, tell me. But I don't think they did anything to shine him. They need to, though. And if there's a Bulls game at home with the Sportsnet covering it, y'all better put on blast Chuck Swirsky and his contributions to Raptors culture in the earlier part of Raptors 30 years is what I'm saying right here. Because you had an opportunity last night, and hopefully MLC did it in the arena at least, if not the broadcast not doing it because it's the other broadcast last night. Yeah, interviewing Santa, Matt, Jack, and Santa, iconic trio. 905 Raptor in there dancing the dance pack and showing some highlights of him getting down on his Instagram. Let's see. Raptors official got all the stats and stuff from the game last night. Like I said, I didn't agree with starting Mobo. Maybe start Davion. Maybe start Jacoby. Jacoby may have been a good person to start. Davion Mitchell coming in the game with his silent ball on his Instagram. Who's this? AJ Lawson. I thought it was Aja Wilson for a second. No, there's AJ Lawson. That's right. I'm following him. He's shooting around before the game in Scotiabank Arena. That's got to feel real good, man. Pinch yourself, AJ Lawson. You're putting on that red and black right now, man. And that's awesome. Understand the grind gear. Go get it. It's Christmas. See, I'll do an advertisement for Norman, an independent Hauser, former champion for us. Yeah, of course I'll do it for Norm. There's Pascal walking in the game, looking a little sheepish. He's not as smiley as he was at the beginning of the season, and the losing takes its toll, I think, with the Pacers. But yeah, there's an action shot of Siakam. Yeah, man, I want him to do good. There's the official signing of Frank Kaminsky III coming in to play for the Raptors. They list him as a center. So maybe we'll get some center minutes out of Frank Kaminsky. So we'll see in action on Thursday in Orlando against the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. So that's what's coming up there. 2 games, 9:05 in Orlando coming up. And they're celebrating Eugenio Moroy for averaging 31 points and 11 rebounds in the last 3 games. He's been fantastic. Toronto Tempo bringing up what we just talked about with Trevor J, that Vancouver's going to get a game August the 15th in the middle of the WNBA season next year at Rogers Arena. It will be the Seattle Storm against the Atlanta Dream. Just like I said, Canada will see you there. And of course, Teresa will be there, I'm sure, and she'll be repping that Toronto Tempo around that event to show, yeah, we're coming to play for y'all too over in Vancouver as the Toronto team because we are Canada's WNBA team. There you go. There's your Instagram stories real quick. Just hitting them up right there. Nago saying Oshai has been the 3rd best defender during his Raptors tenure. I don't know how you quantify that exactly. I mean, it's tough because there's a lot of good defenders on the Raptors right now. I mean, Scotty is a top-notch defender. In some ways, with OG and Precious and certain people gone, Scotty is probably the best all-around defender on our team. You know, Jakob is obviously a very good defender. He does a lot of good stuff. Davion should be in consideration for being one of the top defenders on our team. Jonathan's been very good so far in a lot of ways. You know, it's tough. It's tough to quantify this or rank this. You can have your personal rankings for how you feel the different defenders are and what, but I can't really say for sure. I think Oshai's been one of the better defenders for sure. I would say that for sure. Trevor's saying we still have to give RJ his flowers for developing point guard skills and still have to do the work load. Give him that man an A+. I just don't like turnovers, and in some ways, RJ was forcing. I'm being nitpicky. Honestly, I've seen a certain level of what RJ Barrett's done this year, and I want him to be perfect. And in some ways, the things that I'm criticizing him for are to make him perfect. And you know, he was really damn good. He carried us for a lot of the game, and he can't be totally perfect, Lex. So you got to let that go. But yeah, the turnovers too many and forcing the ball in times, whether passes fat forcing or his own number being forced, trying to go at multiple defenders by himself. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. It's okay if he's successful and he makes them. There were some shots that he put up that would have gone in, but rimmed out too. So I got to give him some credit. And you're right. I'll give an A+ to RJ. He's still got a star of the game. Infamous saying they did honor him. You just didn't see it on the broadcast. Okay, so they did honor Chuck. Yeah. Okay, so they did. It was basically TSN not celebrating a Rogers employee from the past. Is basically what it is. So they did honor Chuck in the game at the arena, and you saw that on the feed. I didn't watch the feed last night. I watched it on TSN proper. And that's part of the reason why I didn't see it. Okay. I saw the pictures of Jack with Chuck before the game, and those are very nostalgic and awesome pictures. And honestly, Chuck Swirsky is an important part of the Raptors culture. He really, really is. Trevor's saying they saw Chuck. They gave him his flowers. They announced his name, and he waves to the crowd. Okay, so they did do that, but they didn't talk about it on the broadcast. They ignored it on TSN. So they didn't talk about it at all. Like they didn't come back from break and say Chuck Swirsky's in the house and waving to people. No. And that really probably is the corporate line right there between Rogers and Bell. Bell is covering the game last night, and that's a former Rogers employee. And that's why they don't put it on TV. They just let the home crowd see it in the arena. Yeah, well, hopefully Rogers is going to cover the next Bulls game in Toronto, and we'll put Chuck Swirsky on television so we can see him and celebrate him that way. I know he's been interviewed for a lot of the Raptors 30th anniversary activities recently, and it's awesome. I love it so much. He really is a great Raptors culture icon. Chuck Swirsky. Get out that salami and cheese, baby. All right, I got at the end of the chat. So let's go ahead and wrap it up, y'all. Yeah, it's tough. The team stats last night, in a lot of ways, were very even. We did technically shoot better than the Bulls. 49%. They shot 46%. They got way more threes than us. They got 5 more threes than us, and that's a difference right there. We shot about the same, though. And that's why, Kelly, if you get the threes, take them. Don't pass them up. You get the threes, take them. Don't think about it. Unconscious. Free throw line, really a big problem. Both teams made 22 free throws, but we had 2 extra attempts and shot 73%. Those 8 missed free throws hurt in a 1-point loss, Raptors. We out-rebounded them 44-41. They had more assists, 33 assists to our 28. They had 12 steals, which were absolutely crucial to helping them win this game. The turnovers, we lost 18 turnovers for us, 12 for them. Fast break, it seemed like they were fast breaking like crazy on us, but they only got 15 fast break points. We even beat them in the points to paint, 64-58. It didn't even seem like that. So, yeah, and it was pretty even with the fouls. They actually had 2 more fouls called on them. And the free throws, we got 2 more attempts than them. So we can't see the refs manipulated with that. But yeah, my three stars of the game in the loss, Jamal Shed, fourth court heroics, Grady Dick, and RJ Barrett. Honorable mention to Chris Boucher otherwise. Yeah, let's see. As I said, Blake Murphy's announcing the 9:05 games have been announced as of yesterday. They'll be playing on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time against Houston's G League team. And then on Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern time against the San Diego Clippers. So we'll see 2 Western Conference G League teams for the first time this year. All right, let's see. Is that it? I don't think there's a birthday today. Good job on the Raptors Freak Fantasy Basketball League. If you're doing well, keep going and keep up with your team. I forgot to set my lineup, and I messed up yesterday, and I didn't put my players in. I'm really upset about that, but I'm not. In some ways, I should have done a better job. All right, yeah, no birthdays or nothing. Sorry, guys, on that. All right, let's see. I see a couple other comments came in here. Trevor's saying AJ Wilson signed 6-year with Aja Wilson signed 6-year deal with the Las Vegas Aces. Okay, that's good. Wayne saying RJ, like Scotty, does come down and pick and jack up shots. That's the devil we live with. If they score, we cheer. When they miss, we mourn. All I want for Christmas is efficient point guard play. Yeah. Yeah, some continuity in the lineup is what I want for Christmas. I just want some continuity as far as like getting the barbecue fully active and out there with the yak and the dick. And yeah, in some ways, that's what I want. I just want continuity with health in some ways, is what I want for Christmas. Yeah, it's true. This is the NBA. They're going to come up the court and jack up bad shot decisions, but that's the way it is at this point. I'm much more comfortable with IQ doing it out of everybody. Scotty second, but yeah, RJ's going to do it too to an extent. And he's very confident with his 3-point shot, dribbling up and doing that. And in some ways, he should have the green light for that. But you're right. We live and die with it, and we mourn when they miss. It's true. It's true. All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. Next week, y'all, on Christmas Day, I'll have my annual Christmas song parody on Christmas morning. It'll be a very short stream on the 25th where I just come in. I won't take any comments or anything. And I'll just sing my song, and then I'll go do Christmas with my family. So get ready for my next Weird Al parody, Raptors Land with a Christmas song. It's coming up next week on Christmas Day, next Wednesday. You'll hear it. I'll have it out there. Yeah, Fiercey saying, so annoyed. I had a meeting and I see the classic card. I would have recognized Boyan. It's too bad. It is what it is, Fiercey. That's part of the fun of the classic card. Seymour has to go do something real quick. He misses it. It's just how it happens. It's just how it is. I know it's a long stream, and it's tough to be here active and attentive for the whole entire one. All right, thanks for watching. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody. People may try and influence me in weird, nefarious ways, but I want them to know you can't. You cannot do it. Because once again, if I'm one man on this earth that cannot be bought, I will be that one. Trust me, I will continue to do it this way. It's just how I am. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I was raised in a South with a lot of really crazy, fucked up people that I knew were wrong that whole time. I'm a rebel, Dottie. And this is just the way I'm going to be. In some ways, it's not about a money grab for me. It's not about this or that. I want to just live my life and be happy and keep it simple. And in some ways, we know this complicates everything. And that is part of it right there. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. And yeah, Raptors, you lost by 1. Good job. Because in some ways, that's the script we're writing for this year is get really good competitive games, play hard, but just barely lose, because that is actually helping us also. All right. I appreciate everybody. I'll be back with a Wow Wednesday. We'll see what I'm wowing about. Maybe there'll be something interesting. Last week, it was DJ Carton getting waived and getting AJ Lawson. Well, let's see what the Wow Wednesday is all about. And you know what? Saturday, we're doing another Saturday Share Love Club. And this time, we're going to come around and get Prima Pasta. Because we did Jose, we might as well do Bargnani this weekend. So we're going to share the love for El Mago on Saturday. So I hope you'll join me at the party when we celebrate Andrea Bargnani, the first ever #1 draft pick in Raptors history. That's right. All right, y'all. I love y'all guys. And thanks. Please comment, share. That's the stuff that helps me more, honestly, than the money. Is if you really want to help me, promote me. Go tell friends that are good Raptors fans that really would like a channel like this. That helps me the best. That's what I want, honestly. It's not necessarily the money, guys. I want y'all to share and let other people that love the Raptors know about me. That's what you can do to help. All right, y'all, get out there and touch grass. The snow is melted. I'm going to go out there and touch grass right now. Let's go, Raptors. Freaks. Let's keep going to the channel in the morning and watching the games at night. Let's go, Raptors.